call tonight's City Council meeting to order. We'll take roll call, please.
Councilors Anderson.
Here.
Seneca.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Costello.
Here.
Jameson.
Here.
Knutson. Here. Litz.
Here.
Staggers.
Present.
We have a quorum present for tonight's meeting, and tonight will be led in invocation by Michael Peterson from Celebrate Church here in Sioux Falls, and then after the invocation, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. So at this time, I ask everyone to please rise.
Let's pray. Gracious God, I want to thank you for the incredible gift of Jesus Christ, our Savior. To know that you loved us so much that you walked the earth with us and had compassion on us is overwhelming. Thank you. You are here with us tonight, and I ask that you would continue to speak to the leaders of this city, this region, and this state. May we be in your hands and not rely on our strength, but on yours. Help us humble ourselves and seek you. Your wisdom is the key to understanding. God, I pray a blessing on these city council members. I pray that they will see you in all that they do. I ask that you would guide them in their decisions and give them peace and comfort regarding the decisions they must make. Too much is given, much is required. I know they give so much of their time and energy serving your people here in Sioux Falls. Refresh them, give them strength that could only come from you. And God, I also want to remember tonight the servicemen and women from Sioux Falls and the surrounding area that are overseas. Thank you for this evening, and we commit this time to you. In your incredible name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have 3 awards tonight, and the first one, I just asked Cindy Hofer to come on up, please. I'd like to recognize Cindy. The award Cindy's receiving tonight is Employee of the Year for Safety. Cindy, she's been employed as a registered nurse with the City of Sioux Falls since 1985. She's a graduate SDSU with a Bachelor of Science in Nursing and has experience in the NICU before coming to Falls Community Health. Cindy has a strong knowledge base of vaccine requirements and safety issues. She is an excellent example to others in the way she practices and promotes safety. Through Cindy's efforts, Falls Community Health consistently receives above-average audit scores from the State Department of Health for appropriateness in immunizing children. Cindy is deserving of the Safety Award for her diligence and continued efforts in the community safety and the safety of the city employees. She sets a positive example for the nursing department, Falls Community Health, and the health department as a whole. Cindy keeps well informed of safety requirements for vaccines, closely follows all safety policies, and is skillful in training other employees on safety issues. I'm happy to give you the Employee Safety Award. Thank you very much. The next award, I'd like to ask Howard Gary to come forward. Howard's going to receive the V.L. Crusenberry Award that was established in memory of former Mayor V.L. Crusenberry, and it recognizes and honors annually a non-management employee who demonstrates exceptional performance, judgment, productivity, loyalty, professional pride, and other noteworthy accomplishments in relation to city employment. Howard is the lead building maintenance worker for facilities management. Highlights of Howard's nomination include Howard has worked for facilities management for over 6 years. Howard is well known for his exceptional customer service. He is environmentally conscious, switching city buildings to green products with cleaning chemicals and implementing the single-stream recycling program. Howard welcomes the opportunity to job coach individuals from South Dakota Achieve and McCross's Boys Ranch, serving as a mentor and role model. He motivates the employees and takes great pride in his work, and it's evident by if you just look at the excellent condition the City Hall is in. So congratulations, Howard. Galen Huber. Galen is a recipient of the Jeannie Fullenkamp Management Excellence Award. It's established in memory of former Human Resource Manager Jeannie Fullenkamp. Recognizes and honors annually a high performer and leader in the mid-management employee group whose performance drives a change, builds commitment, maximizes talent, and focuses on excellence in customer service. Galen has worked for the city for 13 years, and the last 3 he's worked as the city utility manager in Public Works. He took it over 3 years ago and implemented changes that greatly improved the morale, teamwork, productivity, and all of the attitude of the people. Can't give second page for that. He really is a team player, and when somebody calls on Galen, Galen responds, and that's one of the things that is so deserving of this award. Also, the other thing that he did was he was the chair of the government division for 210 United Way and did an excellent job in that area as well, and as well as logistics section leader for Emergency Operations Center. So it is with great pride that we give you this award, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm really honored by this prestigious award. Gene Fullenkamp was on the interview team that interviewed me in 1996 and hired me as a forestry supervisor for Parks and Recreation. She has a very contagious smile, and the first day of work when I went to sign papers at HR, I don't know if she had a bigger smile than or I had the biggest smile, but Jean was a great person with a positive attitude. I'm a better person for knowing her, and I want to thank her family for allowing me to work with Jean. Thank you very much.
Also, I'd just like to recognize Boy Scout Troop 371 from Gloria Day Church that's with us tonight. I want to welcome you to the council meeting tonight, so thanks for being down here as well. With that, let's get started. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I so move. Knutson.
Knutson moves, second.
Second, Litz.
Litz, second. Further comments on the consent agenda? Seeing none, all in favor, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Council members Knutson? Yes. Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
All members present and voted. Consent agenda has been approved 8-0. Is there a motion to approve the regular agenda?
So moved, Litz.
Litz, second.
Second, Benninger.
Minigus, seconds. Is there further motions? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the regular agenda, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Councilors Knutson? Yes. Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
That motion prevails 8-0. Now is the time that we set aside a period of 5 minutes for anyone wishing to address the council. We just ask you to give your name, and if we're going to be talking on the resolution we have for the proposed event center, we just ask that you do it at that time. But other than that, if anybody wishes to come forward for a period of 5 minutes, please do so and give us your name. Looking around, I see no one that is coming forward, so we will move into the regular agenda. Item number 2.
First reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by amending Chapter 15 and a half, fees.
Good evening, Chad Heavey with the Engineering Division of Public Works. Section 15.5-6 of City Ordinance discusses the exemption of fees. The ordinance currently states that Habitat for Humanity, Make-A-Wish Foundation, the Repair Fair Projects of the Home Builders Association, and the Home Modification Wheelchair Ramp Program of Prairie Freedom Center are exempt from payment of fees for permits and inspections from Planning and Building Services and Public Works. This proposed revision will add that plat filing fees and plan review fees are also exempt for these groups.
Questions of Chad on item number 2? Let's go to item number 3.
First reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, approving the release of the permanent utility easement in Lot 1, Tract 1, First Interstate Bank Addition, Minnehaha County, South Dakota.
This permanent utility easement is on the southwest corner of 26th Street and Marion Road. The easement was granted to the City of Sioux Falls for the construction and maintenance of sanitary sewer, water, and storm sewer utilities. Since these utilities are private and not public, the city does not need this easement.
Questions of Chad on item number 3? If not, is there a motion to approve items, set the hearing date for items 2 and 3 for January 11th?
So moved, Anderson.
Let's move. Anderson second? Sure. Anderson seconded the motion. Here to set the hearing date for January 11th for items 2 for 3. All in favor of that motion, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Councilors Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
That motion prevails 8-0. The hearing date has been set for January 11th for items 2 and 3. Item 4.
A resolution declaring the necessity to adopt the cost recovery role for sanitary sewer improvements constructed in Section 12, Section 13, and Section 14, all in T100 North R50W, Lincoln County, South Dakota, and assessing the costs for the improvements to each lot or tract of land benefiting thereby.
In 2005, Diamond Valley LLP financed and constructed a sanitary sewer system that includes a lift station, trunk sewers, and force main. The approximate boundaries of the system are Minnesota Avenue, 69th Street, a half-mile east of Cliff Avenue, and 85th Street. The project cost was $2,175,900.26, and the service area is 612 acres. The cost divided by the acre results in the cost recovery amount per acre, which is $3,550. There are 21 properties included in this private cost recovery. To date, 9 of the properties have paid their cost recovery to Diamond Valley LLP. On the screen in front of you is the service area, and the properties in blue have paid, and the properties in yellow have not yet paid. There are 9 properties yet to pay the cost recovery. Tonight's resolution will approve a private sanitary sewer cost recovery for Diamond Valley LLP to recover their costs from the remaining properties if these properties connect into the sanitary sewer system.
Questions of Chad on item number 4? Others that wish to address the council on item number 4? Not? Council action?
Move to approve, Litz.
Let's move. Second.
Second, Brown.
Brown seconds. Further comments on that motion to approve? I've seen none, so all in favor of that motion, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Councilors Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Item 4 has been approved 8-0. Item 5.
A resolution approving the 2010 audit plan.
Minnesota Vikings fan? Oh, come on.
Thank you, Richard.
Good evening, City Council. Rich Oakes, the lead internal auditor. We're requesting your approval of our 2010 annual audit plan. This has been developed by the internal audit team, reviewed and endorsed by the audit committee, and we're seeking your approval tonight. We have a number of projects, approximately, I think, about 15 or so. A variety there. We have some what we call operational audits of departments. We have some contract compliance audits. We have our cash handling audits, which we do every year, and some special area audits on page 4. And you'll notice on page 5 we have some reoccurring things that we try to do every year, such as the review of the annual financial report and city-wide disbursements. On page 6, you'll also notice we have time in our audit plan for special projects or quick response audits. That's something the audit committee feels is very important, that we allocate time for things that come up that we didn't anticipate during the year, that the council may have a concern or one of the directors might have a concern about something. So we have a process in place by which we can do an audit that's not on the plan. The question comes up is, how do we come up with these areas to audits or departments to audits? We've only been around for about 3 years. We're going into our 4th year now, so a lot of departments we haven't received a review or an audit, so they are more likely to be covered this year or in 2011. We also solicit suggestions from the city council members, and we've had suggestions, and also from the directors, and we've had suggestions for audits from them, and we've incorporated those into the plan. And we're asking your approval tonight, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Questions for Rich? Others that wish to address the council on item number 5? Not. Is there a motion to approve?
I so move.
Approve, Brown?
Yeah, and I second Brown's motion. Knutson.
Brown moves, Knutson seconds the motion. Further comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve item number 5, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Councilors Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 5 has been approved 8-0. Item number 6.
A resolution advising and giving consent to the appointment of members to certain citizen boards.
These are the ones that I think you've received, and it just has the members that we're asking to serve on different boards. I don't know if there's any questions on that or not, or anybody wishes to address the council on item number 6. Not. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve, Costello.
Costello moves. Is there a second?
Second,
Litz.
Benninga.
Benega seconds. Further comments? I see none, so all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Councilors Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 6 has been approved 8-0. Item 7.
A resolution adopting the recommendations of the 2008-2009 Event Center Task Force.
So everybody must be here for that, because I didn't see anybody leave on the other issues, so this must be the one we're after, huh? Okay, anyway, let me just say a couple things before we get started. I know that a lot of folks want to talk about it, but, you know, when I look at this issue and we'll adopt tonight the resolution for the task force, what they've done for the 2008-2009 work that they've put into this task force, I really want to commend them, and we're trying to move this forward to the legislature and peer in 2010. And so I know that the people that have served this 18 members, I truly thank from the bottom of my heart, because I know there's a great cross-section of people that worked on this, and you spent a great deal of time researching the issue and visiting facilities, and really I think the laudable thing that you did was to really listen to people and go out and talk to the community and get their input that they have. And I know that we talked about the penny, and we talked about refunding the penny, and I really look at the way you worked with people from the nonprofit community, and you've met to talk about how we can make the program really more user-friendly. I think they're very important to do that. And so we want to continue to work toward that goal to make sure it's as simple and as easy for people to apply that need to apply for it. We really want that to happen. But I think the other thing that's kind of interesting on this is when you look at this year really marks the 50th year since the people of Sioux Falls approved the arena. And that arena has served us for a long period of time and has served us very ably and very capably, but, nothing it really lasts forever, and so this is a time that we need to start preparing for the future, and it's up to us to really provide an opportunity for the next generation coming on and provide something that will serve them well for the next 50 years. So with that in mind, what I'd like to ask is I'd like to ask that we go first with all the proponents of the resolution, and then we'd come with the opponents. And then the other thing is and I know you'll do this, but it just maybe bears a little repeating to reinforce sometimes is if, and you'll do it, but let's be respectful and no applauding for people if you wouldn't do that. And also if we, and both proponents and opponents, if we can really say something that is new and not retread something that has been said to keep it as crisp and moving forward as much as we can. And I would really just ask that both proponents and opponents, we could keep it to 5 minutes or less for each individual. I think that would help us move this along because I know there's a great deal of interest in this. There's a number of people who want to discuss this. So with that, we'll start with proponents. Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, can I make a comment? The last time we dealt with a very controversial issue was with raising the sales tax. And at that time, we had the proponents of the sales tax, speaking first, and then the opponents were second. But that night, the proponents, there were quite a few proponents, and it just continued on and on and on. And then by the time the opponents had a chance, some of them had left, and it was very late at night. So I guess I would hope that would not happen tonight.
Well, and when we asked everybody to move, I just asked everybody to move along, and it's 7:20, so I think we have time. But really, and I appreciate what you're saying, I respect what you're saying, but when you look at it, the proponents are the ones that are advocating for this resolution. So I think it's really only fair that we move forward with them, and then the opponents, because that's really the normal way we do that. So, but we'll try to keep it moving as much as we can. So I thank you for your question. With that, let's start with the proponents.
Thank you, Mayor Munzer and members of the City Council. I'm Jim Wooster. I've served as co-chair of this, and I think Councilman Stagger summed it up. You've heard me many times. I've got one sheet here, and I'm going to just do a couple things. I'd like first, if you would, please. I worked with lots of committees in this city in the last 48 years, but I don't think I've ever enjoyed working with a bunch of people as much as I have this group. They've been committed. They haven't missed meetings. We've taken bus trips. And with your indulgence, I'd just like to have them wave or stand, and if we give them a round of applause. That's all I'm going to ask you to do. Just wave or stand or do something, you guys. So there they are. Thank you. As I said, I can't think of anything I can say that you guys have attended our meetings, you've had coffee with us, you've been around to so many things. There's nothing I can say except that just if you remember the number 18 volunteer citizens that have worked 18 months, and now unanimously 18 of us have agreed on this particular proposal, every facet of it. And I think we've got a good proposal. I think it'll do what the city needs and wants for the next 40 or 50 years, and I really hope that you can see your way clear to support us. So with that, I'll just get out of your way and we'll head down the road. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. One other thing I'll just ask, go ahead, you can come on up with you next, Jim, is in the council, do you want to wait until all testimony and then ask questions and from both proponents and opponents? I mean, probably make it move a little faster if you want to do that. So if that's okay with the council, we'll just take the testimony, and then if you have questions at the end, proponents and opponents will be around to answer those questions. So thank you. Okay, go ahead. So.
Thank you. My name is Jim Entman, and I'm a business person in Sioux Falls and a lifelong resident, and I also was on the task force. In the past 6 years, 3 different citizen groups have studied the community need of a new event center. I have been honored to have served on 2 of the citizen task force. There is no doubt that our community has expressed a keen interest in the economic and quality of life potential of a new event center. There is worried concern about its costs and how we are going to pay for it, and there are emotional opinions about its location. I do believe, however, that after 18 months, many of these questions have been answered. Let me assure you, the Events Task Force was very deliberate and determined in developing the report that was submitted to you on November 16th. We were given a vision and we developed a plan. The plan: build a new 12,000 to 15,000 seat event center, remodel and update the arena, and enlarge the convention center by almost 70%. Will we be able to sell the additional space? You bet. The facilities management teams and the proven professionalism of Terry Ellis Schmidt and her staff at the Sioux Falls CVB, and Mike Sullivan and the Sioux Falls Sports Authority, and their success with partnering with local hotels and businesses has proven to be a winning combination in attracting conventions, sporting events, and other entertainment opportunities for the city. Sioux Falls is a special community because our people believe that we have the ability to shape our collective futures, and we are willing to become actively involved to make good things happen. Everyone who lives here is constantly reminded of the great community we have, both by people who visit Sioux Falls and by what we see when we visit other communities. But maintaining and improving the quality of life we have in Sioux Falls is not automatic, and we must not take it for granted. I think as a community we must ask ourselves an important question. Can we afford not to build a new event center and expand our convention center? I encourage you to adopt the resolution adopting the recommendations of the 2008-2009 Event Center Task Force. Thank you. And Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Others? Proponents?
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to testify in support of the Event Center proposal. My name is Craig Pomerke, and I'm the Vice Chair of the Sioux Falls Convention Visitors Bureau. I'm also the President of the Dakota Alliance Soccer Club, and in my day job, I'm the General Manager of the Courtyard of the Spring Hill Suites Hotel here in Sioux Falls. I'd also like to publicly thank Mayor Munson and Terry Bloom and Jim Wooster for all of their leadership and the rest of this task force that did all this work. I'm not a member of this task force, but I was asked to speak on behalf of it, and I'm obviously very close to this. I'm not from Sioux Falls, but was fortunate enough to relocate here 6 years ago with my wife and family. In my 28 years in the hotel business and 15 different markets I've resided in, I've never enjoyed living in a community more than Sioux Falls. It's a great place for a young family to locate in and create a lifetime of memories. When I first moved here, I actually helped to manage the convention center. So I've seen firsthand the benefit of having such a facility and the events and conventions that can be held here. Almost every one of those events could not believe the hospitality and professionalism of our city and commented what a great secret we have here. This project will help us to move on to a bigger stage, which also brings larger benefits for all of us. I'd also like to outline the benefits of the tourism and hospitality industry if we are fortunate enough to build the event center as presented. The study by the CSL Group outlined many of the economic revenue improvements and tax dollars that follow that I'm sure you've seen or will see tonight. I'd rather speak on my industry and the advantages we will see if this project's built. A new event center and a large convention center can and will increase the demand for hotel rooms in Sioux Falls. When larger events are actualized, it pushes demand for the existing supply of hotel rooms, thus increasing the occupancy for those hotels. This project also calls for another hotel to be built on site, which will attract the larger events that need the rooms to support the events. While I'm not a big proponent to adding more rooms and creating more competition, it does help other hotels in the area as demand's created with new and larger events, thus bringing more people into town. With the increased number and volume of those events, it does reach further down to helping to create jobs in our industry. According to the American Hotel and Lodging Association, the hotel industry in South Dakota will account for 11.1% of all jobs that are directly or indirectly related to the lodging industry, with hotels, motels, resorts, or lodges generating $189 million in tax revenue for the state and local governments. Most of these properties are small businesses, which is a sector that create almost all the new jobs in the state. Our industry reaches far beyond just providing our guests with comfortable rooms or convenient meeting spaces. We're interlinked with many other industries, such as transportation, restaurants, agriculture, manufacturing, recreation, and those industries also generate millions in tax revenues. I know the task force did a lot of research in the other markets they visited, but I'd like to speak about one of the markets in particular and give you an idea of what kind of impact we're talking about. We have a sister hotel in the Fargo-Moorhead market. They'll usually sell out of all their hotel rooms, or nearly sell out when there's a major event, a concert, booked at the Fargo Dome. In addition, these same guests flock to the event. They're spending dollars in restaurants and other retail stores, spreading the positive economic impact. It's amazing when I talk to that general manager and see her business when they have those events. She tells me this happens at least 6 to 8 times a year, business that she would normally not have had the event never came to Fargo. Also, as president of the Dakota Alliance Soccer Club, our 4 tournaments each year generate over $10 million in total revenue to the local economy once it turns over. And we've had if we had a larger events and convention center, I feel we could add more tournaments, including a very large indoor tournament in the winter that could draw over 150 teams. I actually tried to book this upcoming February and March, but was told we didn't have the space due to the other events that were booked there. It's a sport. This soccer is a sport that holds events year-round, unlike other sports, and will have a use for the improved and expanded facilities. If we're able to build this project, then I can see these types of events and many other sports, social, and association events coming as well. In closing, I want to thank you for listening to me and urge you to support this proposal. It is the right time to build it.
Thank you. Others?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. My name is, excuse the cough drop, but it's cold outside, I understand. People keep telling me that it is in here. It's not anywhere near Florida, I know that. My name is Mike Sullivan. I'm Executive Director of the Sioux Falls Sports Authority. 2 years ago, I came here and accepted this position, and one of the first questions asked of me by a reporter was, so what events are you going to bring to town? I had to tell him the first thing I have to do is see what we've got facility-wise, and then I'll be able to judge on what events we can go after. The Sports Authority itself gave me the charge of going out and bringing these events to town. We continue to do so, and will continue to do so no matter what our facility is. But I bring to you tonight a list of events, potential events that we could go after, assuming we were to get this new recommended facility that the task force has so diligently brought before you. Our charge as a sports authority is to go after international, national, regional, and state events and bring them to Sioux Falls. In doing so, adding to the economic impact of our city and also exposing Sioux Falls to the rest of the world, as well as offering those events to the citizens of Sioux Falls, may be the most important of all. I have a long list here, and I could go deeper and deeper into a number of events that we could go after, but I'm going to just name a few event owners and the things we could go after with them. And excuse me for reading them to you, and I don't want to take much time, so I'm going to go pretty quickly. The NCAA tournament and championship events, not only Division I, but Division II, Division III, could include basketball, wrestling, gymnastics, volleyball, hockey, and fencing. NAIA championship events, Division I and II, basketball, wrestling, and volleyball. Collegiate NCAA and NAIA regular season event and tournaments, some of which we would create ourselves. The Olympic governing body events, or federations as they're known, including USA, basketball, boxing, fencing, figure skating, gymnastics, hockey, judo, table tennis, taekwondo, tennis, volleyball, weightlifting, wrestling, and karate. All of those have a series of steps of major events with some of the best athletes in the world that work themselves toward the Olympic trials. National Hockey League exhibition matches, National Basketball Association preseason games, indoor professional tennis events, high school state championship events, high school all-star events, gymnastics events, rodeo and bull riding events, Mr. Wooster's favorite, numerous trade shows, conventions, and conferences, and others that we should consider, family shows, concerts, Barnum and Bailey Circus, faith-based shows and events, motocross events, pro wrestling, and extreme game events. As you can see, once you get into the different levels of all of those different governing bodies or all those different event owners, the events are just too numerous to mention, but we certainly could go after all of them. But you got to remember one thing, all of those events have a choice. They can go anywhere they want to go or any place that they want to, that they are offered some kind of a deal. Remember, we compete with other cities for every single one of those events. We must show an event owner or a promoter the revenue possibilities in our facility. We must show the performer and athlete experience that we can give. Even the Summit League, which we have tied down for 4 years, ask me every time and say every time, we want the athlete to have a great experience when they come to your city. We have to be able to provide that. And of course, maybe the most important, the fan experience, the sight lines, the seats, the sound system, the concessions, and the convenience of moving around that facility. Amenities that we lack in our present facility. And make no mistake about it, I came from a city that had an old facility built the exact same time as this one was built, and we had the exact same situation. But in this present facility, we have a small number of sellable seats for major events, which cuts into your revenue. Number of quality locker rooms and dressing rooms, which cuts into your experience for the athlete and the performer. Training room and first aid room, which covers everything, including the fans. Meeting rooms and office space, which goes into your event experience. Quality kitchen and food prep areas for the fans and for the event itself. ADA seating and access to and from required seating for the fans. Club and premium seating for fans and, of course, for revenue. Skyboxes and suites, also fans and revenues. Private club and entertainment areas, also fans and revenues. Update to video boards, scoreboards, ribbon boards, all of which include add to the fan experience, and definitely add to your revenue possibilities. Quality concession stands for your fans, and a media workroom for all these people standing over here to my right that are filming at this time. You need all of those things to be able to compete with cities that are also competing for the same events you're going after. If we don't provide those things, those events will go somewhere else. We need the facility to bring in these events that will add to the economic impact of the Sioux Falls area, that will add to the quality of life, a very, very important point in my estimation of Sioux Falls, and expose the nation to the fine, fine city that we have here in Sioux Falls. In my estimation, the people of Sioux Falls need and deserve this new facility. Thank you.
Thank you. Other proponents?
Mayor, Council, I'm Slater Barr with the Sioux Falls Development Foundation. Recently, the Executive Committee of the Sioux Falls Development Foundation adopted a resolution in support of the findings of this task force. You know, I'm here to talk about economic development. That's what the Development Foundation does, and that's what our mission is to try to improve the economy of this community. You know, but most people, when they think about that, they think about a couple of things. First, they may think about the fiscal impact that a facility has. What's going to be the impact upon the tax dollars? What's going to be the impact upon the budgets of the local governments? Well, the second thing that they think about is the economic impact. So all those people that are coming into the community and are shopping and eating in restaurants and buying gasoline and hotel rooms and so forth, what's going to be the impact upon the community as those dollars circulate over and over and over again? But I think to stop there, that you're missing a key point, and that is the impact of a community to attract talented, skilled workers to support the industries of the future. You may notice that recently in the Future Sioux Falls study, we looked at the industries of the future for this community. Medical research, for example. You know, you start looking at those type of jobs and the type of people that you need to attract in order to make those industries successful. And these are people that can locate anywhere in the world and do. Now, if some communities are blessed with great physical amenities. Think Boulder, think Sedona. You know, if you don't have red rocks and mountains, then those other communities have to create their amenities, recreational and cultural amenities. And the communities that do that in a way that they can attract talent that is interested in cultural and recreational amenities, those are the ones that win the economic game. So while we're thinking about economic development, let's not limit our thoughts to just the impact upon the convention center, the event center, upon the ability to bring people for that short time period for those events. But let's look at what the impact is upon the ability to attract people to this community, to provide the amenities that they want, where they will continue to live here and stay here and help build the future of this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Other proponents?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and the members of City Council. My name is Dave Rosenboom, and I'm the chair of the board of the Sioux Falls Area Chamber of Commerce and serve as regional president for U.S. Bank here in Sioux Falls. It's a big night for Sioux Falls, and the Sioux Falls Area Chamber of Commerce has played an active role in supporting the Event Center Task Force as they have thoroughly researched the issues and developed their recommendation. We held our annual planning retreat for the Sioux Falls Area Chamber in August with approximately 40 board and community leaders. The number one priority that came out of our planning retreat was the importance of the Chamber and its membership in providing its full support for the new event center for our community. The Chamber has a keen interest in seeing a new event center move forward because of the direct and indirect economic benefit for our business, the businesses in our membership, and for their employees. In addition, as we move into the next phase of economic development of our community, it is paramount that we continually focus on enhancing the quality of life for our residents, not only to retain our existing pool of young people, but also to be able to attract the other young people from around the country to fill the jobs that we are working on, as Slater just referenced, as part of our Future Sioux Falls initiative. After reviewing the work of the task force, the Board of Directors of the Sioux Falls Area Chamber of Commerce provides its unanimous endorsement of the task force's recommendation and encourages the full support of the City Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Further proponents?
Good evening. I'm Dean Bucknerberg, a longtime Sioux Falls business person and a member of the task force. I think we have an opportunity here to create something great for our community for years to come. I'd like to just talk about financing for a minute. As a task force, we thought about all the various options for financing. This is a big project. It requires a big cash inflow. So our recommendation is the third penny sales tax. That tax could generate up to $50 million a year, could pay for this project in about 3 years, and it would be done. Alternatively, if you were to bond it, a 20-year bond issue would require about $79 to $80 million in interest alone that you'd be paying. A 30-year bond issue would require $125 million. That's extra cash over that period of time that you're paying out that you wouldn't have to if you got it paid for up front. And if you did bond it, annual debt service would be approximately $10 to $13 million every year that you'd have to come up with for that. As a task force, we're sensitive to low-income individuals' needs, and we're committed to seeing that they get refunded that extra 1 cent sales tax that they're paying. Such a tax increase wouldn't take effect for a while, at the earliest July of 2011. Visitors would help pay for this. They pay sales tax. Businesses pay sales tax. All would share in the cost. And it's been estimated that the economic annual impact would be over $50 million. $51 to $53 million is the estimate. That could generate $2.2 to $2.3 million of state and local sales tax annually, just because of that additional economic impact provided. I think the numbers make sense. I would urge you to support our recommendation.
Thank you, Dean. Others?
Mayor Munson, members of the council, Bob O'Connell with the Sioux Falls Area Chamber of Commerce Public Affairs. I had the opportunity to serve as a resource person on the Event Center Task Force. I was able to observe the task force in their deliberations, their hearing sessions, and discussions. Many opportunities were given for discussion and comments by all those who attended the meetings. I wish to commend the task force on their openness, their thoroughness, and the significant amount of thought that went into their deliberations and all their efforts. The task force considered a number of possibilities to deal with the Event Center financing, as Dean pointed out. The conclusion was that the Sioux Falls community would be best served by adding a third penny sales tax for a period of time. In order to accomplish that, the strategy is for the state legislature will need to authorize a local option for municipalities. Yvonne Taylor of the Municipal League conducted a survey of cities and towns around the state to determine what interest there might be for a similar tactic for infrastructure in those towns, because we're going to need those in order to pass any legislation. She found a significant interest just about every part of the state. The Legislative Research Council was asked to propose a draft bill, and I'd like to talk about that tonight. The bill as presently drafted would allow for a short-term 1 penny local option sales tax increase to pay for the designated infrastructure. The increase would end upon the early of the payoff of the project or a number of years as stated in the local municipal ordinance. The imposition of the tax would require the council to set a time limit for the levy, a specific purpose, and an end date. The levy must be referred to a vote of the community. The statute would also allow for the return of funds collected pursuant to the methodology provided by the ordinance. That would allow the city to effectuate that part of tonight's resolution containing the language to the effect that No vote will be taken unless there is an accessible, user-friendly program to refund the temporary tax to income-qualified residents. Finally, the bill allows for revenue bonds to be issued pursuant to the tax. The Chamber supports the task force recommendation, as you have heard, and has provided a resolution to the Mayor and the Council. Tonight's vote is very important because the Sioux Falls legislative delegation needs to know from you, the leadership of our city, that the tax increase should be passed. We've already talked with most of the legislators. Also, the Sioux Falls delegation can assist us at the legislature in working with other cities and delegations around the state to pass the local option bill. The Chamber stands ready to assist the city in the legislative process to obtain the approval of the third penny increase. For those in attendance tonight, we placed a list of the local legislators and contact information on the table over here to the left. For those who are listening, the Chamber website, www.siouxfallschamber.com, has the information, as does the South Dakota Legislative Research Council website. Please contact your legislatures and let them know how important it is for the city to have this new event center and the third penny. The Chamber believes that securing a stable funding source will go a long way towards moving this important project forward. The Chamber would ask the council members to please vote in favor of tonight's resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Other proponents?
Good evening, Mayor Munson and council members. My name is Dave Fleck. I'm with Sioux Falls Construction Company, and I'd like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to testify in support of the event center. Infrastructure is my favorite word. I think a lot of you probably have heard me say that word several times. And you know that I have a very broad definition when I talk about infrastructure. It's more than streets and highways. It includes everything that it takes to build a community, from schools to parks and recreation to public safety. And a community's infrastructure needs are continually changing as it grows and develops. I consider an event center as part of the necessary infrastructure that improves the quality of life in our community. Investing in infrastructure projects has the dual benefit of creating jobs in the short term and providing long-term economic benefits by producing assets that will be here for future generations to come. Our investment in an event center will have a significant positive economic impact on the Sioux Falls area in construction jobs alone. A $150 million project provides for 1,000+ jobs over 2 years, and that equates to almost $50 million in wages that turn over 2 to 2.5 times in our local economy in spending on items such as food, clothing, entertainment, gas, whatever. Some people will say, now is not the time. Well, I'm here to disagree with that. Now is the time. Now is the right time to invest in construction projects. We are seeing projects come in from 10 to 30% below architect and engineers' estimates, depending on the type of materials that make up the project. Now is the time, but let's do it right for long-term success. The existing arena, we heard, is 50 years old. So this is an investment for us, our kids' kids. So let's do it right. Let's invest in an event center. Thank you.
Thank you. Other proponents?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. My name is Mike Hauk. I'm a commercial real estate broker in Sioux Falls. The last time I was before you was another somewhat controversial topic that also involved a little tax increase, and I asked myself, why Why am I here on a tax increase? Because anybody that knows me knows I'm not a tax increase guy. But I am a pro-growth guy, and I am a pro-investment guy when there is an investment that pays dividends. And I firmly believe that this is an investment that will pay dividends down the road. As a commercial real estate broker, I do get the opportunity to visit with a lot of clients that come to town. They're always so complimentary of the many amenities that we have, and I want that to continue. I was just reading this weekend in Prairie Business Magazine. There's a couple of wonderful articles there about Sioux Falls, the diversity of its economy, the wonderful things that it has to offer, and it's just a jewel on the prairie. The economic impact from this would be immediate in terms of the jobs that it would create for the construction. But in addition to that immediate impact, there will be other activity that comes out of that. As we see in the commercial real estate world, as we're seeing with Dolly Farm Village on the east side, when there is a big project, that drives other economic activity around it. That means that there will be money spent, there'll be people moving, they'll be eating in restaurants, they're going to be going to other activities, they'll be shopping, and those are all things that are going to help support the tax base. They'll help generate other revenue that funds other programs, and it's a win-win. Importantly, as we talked about earlier tonight, the arena's been here for 50 years, and here it is 50 years later, and it's still paying dividends to this community. This is an investment for the next 50 years that will keep things moving and keep things growing. I wasn't here 50 years ago, but I was a high school student about 30 years ago, and this town is certainly a lot different than it was then. And the town has grown and it's changed, and we need to continue with that growth and that change. We have a task force that has done an admirable job looking into all of these different components of this project, and have made a recommendation, and we've spent a lot of time talking about this project, and I firmly believe that now is the time to act, and would urge the city to move forward and adopt the resolution from the task force. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Further proponents?
Good evening, Mayor and councilors. I'm Al Schoenman, a local business person here in town. I was a member of the task force, and this is a conclusion of what facilities are needed for Sioux Falls to keep it competitive with other cities our size and larger for the next 50 years. Any event center is used heaviest from September through April. Because we have 3 tenants in the present arena, it limits the times offered for other shows of venue dates. With a new event center, we could have a concert the same night as a Skyforce or Stampede game. We could easily add 10 more concerts, 10 more family shows and ice shows, 5 other sporting events, rodeos, horse shows, 5 more community and religious events. Sioux Falls has over 350 companies with $5 million in sales or more than 25 employees, which will help support premium seating for these additional events. This new event center will generate between $2.2 and $2.7 million in annual revenues, and using $1.7 million in additional expenses, including workers' salaries, whose families will buy goods and services from a variety of Sioux Falls merchants. CSL estimates that these new facilities will create over $7 million in direct spending as a result of the impact over $18 million per year. So I endorse that you approve of this resolution.
Thank you, Al. Further proponents?
My name is Steve Egger. I'm a retired businessman and a member of the Event Center Task Force. Over the years, I have had the opportunity to attend a large number of events in a variety of cities throughout the country. These include athletic events, concerts, and plays, as well as trade associations and conventions. Many times I have observed the economic benefits that a new facility brings to a city or to a region. Starting back in the 70s, Rapid City and Billings, Montana were among the first cities in our region to add significant event center complexes, followed by the Fargo Dome in the 90s, and more recent facility additions in Sioux City, Grand Forks, Omaha, and Des Moines. These cities have been able to attract more and larger events and attractions, which mean more people visiting the city and spending more money. It also results in the need for hotels, restaurants, and other support facilities. This effect is even more pronounced in larger cities in the area, such as Denver and Minneapolis. I realize this is in a little bit different scale, but many of you are familiar with the additions that have gone into those two cities in the last decade. And where were the two political conventions hosted last year? Denver and Minneapolis. Sioux Falls has sat back and watched this take place, and now, on the 50th anniversary of the opening of the Sioux Falls Arena in 1959, is the time for Sioux Falls to build a first-class event center and begin to obtain some of these same benefits. I would also like to second the comments of Dave Fleck regarding the fact that this is now the time to build. As a material supplier to the construction industry, our business has fallen off dramatically in the current economic downturn. Officials in our trade association are forecasting that the turnaround will not come until mid-2011. We have a window of opportunity that will be open for a while, and we need to take advantage of that and begin construction of a new event center before that window closes. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Steve. Further proponents?
Good evening. Orland Cheddar, Vice President at Sanford Medical Center. Thank you for taking public testimony on this. It's important for our democracy to have this opportunity, and I promise my comments will be brief. However, we believe them to be very important. In my role at Sanford Health, one of my responsibilities is workforce development, which is a focus on our next generation of workers. It's not necessarily the recruitment of people for jobs tomorrow and next week, but rather who's going to be there to care for us 5 years, 10 years, etc. in the future. Interestingly, one of the greatest hurdles that we face as an organization in terms of recruitment and attracting people to our community and to healthcare work in our community is simply getting them to make a visit to our community. Many people will reject the idea of even coming to visit before they've even had an opportunity to consider whether Sioux Falls is a place where they might be able to contribute. Sioux Falls has certainly become a destination for healthcare services. We are serving great numbers of people who travel distances to come for those services, and certainly it's a driving force in our local economy. Specialty services that once were required to have people travel are now largely available in our community. In order to recruit and retain the type of people that we need, the specialists and the technicians that do the work that they do in our facilities, we have to have the quality of life that people demand. One of those things is the type of things that would be hosted in an event center. We currently are competing regionally with places like Fargo and Minneapolis and Rapid City. It would be very difficult for me to stand here and tell you that I believe we compete fairly with those places with the current facilities. I'd like to just share one story of personal story, and that is my son and my daughter-in-law are both in medical school. They have approximately 1 year left of medical school before then relocating somewhere to do residencies and eventually going back into the workforce somewhere in the country perhaps, or perhaps out of the country. They literally, even at this stage of their education, are being solicited from all over the country and all over the world for places that want them to relocate to their cities and their communities to do their work. They literally have the option to go anywhere in the world to do what they need to do when they have completed their training. We believe that an event center is critical to our ability to sell our community and to be able to have people consider us as a destination. There's been a number of comments this evening about when is the right time to build an event center. I'm reminded of an analogy about when is the best time to plant a tree. And the answer is 10 years ago. The second best time is today. Thank you.
Thank you, Warren. Other proponents?
Evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. I'm Jamie Z. Mothershed. I own Mama's Lattes in downtown Sioux Falls, and I believe the arena has served its purpose. As Sioux Falls grew, I believe it adapted and did what it should have done. I, as a child, remember the excitement I felt when I was excited to go to the arena for certain events, and now I find myself almost dreading to go there. It is dated in both design and aesthetics. Sioux Falls is a progressive city, and with all of the growth downtown on the south and east side, I think it is imperative to continue this growth with the new event center. Knowing that we have the capabilities to build a beautiful structure, this city and future generations deserve a complex that rivals those in our region, thus giving Sioux Falls a competitive advantage. I firmly believe that this project would propel our city in many more ways than just better concert options. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Other proponents?
Mr. Mayor, council members, my name's Bob Bruning. I'm a businessman and I live in Brandon. I'm a member of the Brandon Chamber of Commerce, and we too have followed this issue out there. And as you know, before we get anywhere, this needs to get through Pier. You have an event center you're considering. This evening you're going to vote to support that or not. I would urge you to do that because we need this measure to get to Pier so that other cities too can take advantage of this opportunity to have their own projects and deal with them as they see fit. We've got not an event center, but some swimming pools and some other ideas for things in Brandon. There are other communities that need that same kind of option as a support. So I'd urge you tonight to look beyond the event center and look at this tool that will allow you to deal with other worthy projects as they come along later. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Further proponents?
Mayor Munson, respected City Council, respected community member, those who are supporting this issue and those who are against it. Ladies and gentlemen, I came to City of Sioux Falls 33 years ago as a refugee. And I remember the first job I found was $3.40. And I served this community since then. And every single day, with my income, which is very low, I supported this community to grow and go forward. Today, you're all sitting in here making a decision in the future of City of Sioux Falls. I hope we all in this room to come forward together to make a right decision for City of Sioux Falls for tomorrow, not going backward, going forward. Today is the right time to make a decision because always we have to make a tough decision in our lifetime and a decision to bring a future for all of us. City of Sioux Falls growing every single day. I remember I didn't want to go to Falls Park. How dirty, how messy it was. And when the money is spent, is that people was against it to spend money in the Falls Park. Today the Falls Park has become one of the best thing happened to City of Sioux Falls. Anytime we want to change and go forward, there's a few people is against it. And I hope those people and us, all of us together, think about the future of City of Sioux Falls. And I hope this issue not used for political gain. And I hope this issue not use few small group of people to use it as a tool to slow this process down. I am a low-income person, but I want everything good for my children in this city. I want my 3 grandchildren right now to have a wonderful facility to go into it. I don't want to go back to the old Falls Park. I don't want to go back to the dirty street. You as a leader of this community, we all as a community member, have a responsibility to make this city better for a future again. It's not about you and not about me. It's about the City of Sioux Falls. Because City of Sioux Falls is bigger than us. And a community bigger than your desk and desk of other. And I know some people feel this is not the right time because economic. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe of American people. We can overcome many challenges. So let's not use some excuses of the time, which we have a hard time, as an issue to slow progress of City of Sioux Falls. Ladies and gentlemen, again, I tell you, I am not living in 57th Street. I am living in $52,000 house, and I am proud of it. As a refugee, I created everything in this community to be who I am. And I think every one of us have opportunity to be what we want to be, long as we work hard. And I know many, many people working in a minimum wage. They support this issue because they want their city grow. They want their children have a future. So some of us try to use some issue against the progressive movement to city of Sioux Falls. I hope they look in themselves and say, do we doing the right thing to slow process, or are we doing the wrong thing? Sometimes it's hard to make a difference, to make a change. Change is always, people is against it. But again, ladies and gentlemen, all of us in this city, all of us in this room, we're talking about future of city of Sioux Falls. Arena is too small. I used to have a house, not have a room in it. Then we cut a wall and make another room for it because we grow in our family. And city of Sioux Falls today, 158,000 people. We deserve to have a better facility. Instead of our kids and our people from Sioux Falls going to Sioux City to spend their dollar, going to Fargo to spending their dollar. Why we not do it in our community in city of Sioux Falls? So I hope in the end of the night, we all as a community in this city put our differences aside and look at the future of city of Sioux Falls and make this issue a reality for our grandkids and the future of city of Sioux Falls. Thank you.
Thank you. Further proponents?
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Brian Jans. I'm a business owner here in Sioux Falls, and I just want to talk about a little personal experience that I had when I graduated from SDSU in December of 2001. I was lured away to Denver to work for my first job there. Part of the company that hired me, lures were some of the better facilities and the better events that they had in that area. They allowed their employees to attend those events, and they frequently gave out tickets for those events. Now back in Sioux Falls, as a business owner myself, I find that as a challenge I face in hiring new people, new faces out of college, having to compete with larger cities and the surrounding areas. I believe that this event center would help that, would give me a level playing field, or at least level it out a little bit more. I think it would be a great benefit in retaining some of our young professionals that we have in the area. I am currently serving on the steering committee for the Sioux Falls Young Professionals Network, and know from firsthand experience we have a very diverse, very energetic, and very excited group of young professionals that would do a huge benefit to this community to keep them here and keep them in the industry and provide for the economy of Sioux Falls. On another note, also as a young parent with two young children, I know that the future of my children, I would like to provide them with many opportunities and not having to travel to a far out town or a distant outside the surrounding community to experience some new opportunities and new experiences. I know my parents may not get the most use out of this new event center, but I know that they would be approved of it too for their grandchildren and for my grandchildren as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Further proponents?
Good evening. My name is Nate Welch. I'm a business person here in Sioux Falls, also a member of the steering committee for the Chamber's YPN. I want to note, as a young professional who has decided to return to Sioux Falls to invest into my own future, like other young professionals, we see a realistic, legitimate reason an event center can improve the quality of life we seek when deciding where to put down our stakes and start working at this stage of our lives. Growing up, I heard stories among stories of decisions made in Sioux Falls that either contributed in the forward moving of quality of life or slowed the process. As far back as that Cataract Hotel attracting people as a young town who wanted to show that we were an upscale, modern Midwest town, then the city's Coliseum, then the arena that many people have mentioned was approved 50 years ago this year. As times change, so do needs and ideas of entertainment. Some ideas are good, and this idea of an event center that so many of us believe will improve our quality of life, strengthen our economic benefits, and help attract more young professionals to continue to grow our city in a positive direction of success, this idea of an event center is a good one and should be worked for. And of course, as many people are saying, this is a great time to make it happen. Thanks.
Thank you, Nate. Further proponents?
Thank you, Mayor, council members.
My name is Jamie Nelson. I'm a local business owner, and I'm also known as Painmaker with the Sioux Falls Roller Dolls. There's quite a few of us here right now. We're not here to strong-arm anyone, but just a little bit about us. We are skater-owned and operated. We're not-for-profit. None of us get paid. We all pay money to play this sport. We are members of the Women's Flat Track Derby Association, which is like the NBA of roller derby. We work together as a league to empower women and enrich our community through competitive sport. Now, through generous monetary donations and volunteering of our time, both on and off the track, we strive to improve our community while providing a unique entertainment opportunity suitable for all ages. We're a league comprised of women of all walks of life. I'm a mom of 2 and a business owner. We have college students, servers. We have all different people working together, but we demonstrate that women can be strong and independent and excel in a competitive sports world. We proudly represent Sioux Falls in the roller derby community at both a national and international level. Currently, I know tax dollars is a big part of this. We're just approaching $25,000 that we've been able to give back to the community. We've made a name for ourselves in the not only national but international scene of roller derby. ESPN had a sports commentary show about roller derby. It is the fastest growing sport in the nation right now. There's over 400 leagues in the world. In the United States, we have over 200. We have 77 members of the Women's Flat Track Derby Association. It's huge. And just had a national tournament. Our problem is venue. That's our biggest struggle. We have teams that want to come play here. They have a great time here. They love our city. They love how affordable everything is here compared to other cities. We recently played one of our home bouts in Brookings. The Sioux Falls Roller Dolls played an event in Brookings at the Swiftel Center because we have no other options. Is the time now? Do we want to change our names to the Brookings Roller Dolls? I don't want to. We want to be here. But Sioux Falls needs this, not just for sports teams, but all the other things listed earlier. Regional tournament was held. We're in the North Central region. Minneapolis hosted that tournament, and they had over 400 rooms, hotel rooms, for that tournament. National tournament was in Philadelphia. They had over 1,180 rooms over the course of 6 days in this tournament. We can't even submit for a tournament because we don't have the space. It's the fastest growing sport. Sioux Falls is a fast growing community. The time is now. We need this growth. Thank you.
Thank you. I just got to add, Gina, I did have the opportunity to come out and watch it, and I really, really, truly enjoyed the
Thank you so much.
No, they took it back. I tried, but they wouldn't let me out the door with it, so thank you. Others?
Good evening. My name is Joe Bunkers. First, I'd like to thank Mr. Mayor for allowing me to serve in the 18-month-long that I've been doing on the task force. It's been 18 months, a very eye-opening experience for me. Served with a couple of the council members. Learned a lot about Sioux Falls, a lot about how the process works. It's really been very good for me. But I wanted to talk tonight about why it's important to me. I'm an average citizen here in Sioux Falls, and I want more events to come to Sioux Falls. I want things to do. I want things for my kids to do. When I grew up in southwest Minnesota, Sioux Falls was always a vibrant community. This is a place we'd get in a carpool on a Friday night and come to. I'm tired of Sioux Falls losing their edge to places like Sioux City. I'm tired of seeing our people get on buses and cars and vans and head down to the concerts that are in Sioux Falls or head up to Fargo. We need to keep those types of events here, and we can't get them right now. I wonder a lot of nights, how many dollars do Sioux Falls residents spend at the Sioux City Arena or at the Fargo Dome, going to the concerts and going to the events that they have that we aren't even able to try to get right now? How many jobs are we supplementing in these other cities that we need to keep here in Sioux Falls? I want to keep working in Sioux Falls. I want my kids to work in Sioux Falls. I want them to stay here. We need to keep the economy going. We need to build on what we have. We've got a great economy. We need to find ways to keep it going, to keep building on it. We need more business opportunities in Sioux Falls. We need more event nights to draw people from outside of Sioux Falls into Sioux Falls. If we don't keep driving our economy, we're going to find it increasingly hard to fund our city. I want Sioux Falls to be the place my kids decide to stay. If they have to go somewhere else to do something, there's a more likely chance that they're going to go someplace else to live. If there aren't sufficient jobs and entertainment choices in Sioux Falls, there's less that's going to keep them here. We need to keep our next generations here in Sioux Falls helping us continue to grow and prosper. We need to do things that are going to stimulate the economy and create opportunities for growth. This is one thing that we can do that I believe will really help shape the future of Sioux Falls. That's why I'm asking each one of you to please support this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Further proponents?
Hello, my name is Jean Nichols. Born and raised in Sioux Falls, this is my hometown, and I love it. And I just want to say I appreciate the opportunity to be involved with the task force. It's been a pleasure working with this group of people. I want to thank Jim and Terry for their leadership and the opportunity to go on the bus trips and visit the other places. And when I pull into these towns, I go, you know, this is great. Why can't we have this in Sioux Falls? We should have these places in Sioux Falls. I've driven to Omaha for concerts. It wasn't any fun driving back home after that concert. And I just saw all kinds of people down there from Sioux Falls taking their money down to these other places. I just believe that adding an event center will bring more visitors to Sioux Falls and see how wonderful it is, because it is a great place. The arena still works for some events. Organizations are choosing other cities, and you've heard some of this too, because they have available flat space to host a large number of attendees. Not only will an event center allow for a certain creation of other jobs at these events, but the visitors will bring money to our local hotels and restaurants and all that, and the thriving local business help maintain the culture of our community as well as encouraging new types of business and city growth. The 1 cent sales tax that we're talking about adding on, I believe, is a fair tax, that everyone will be paying it, you know, and I don't think it's asking that much of our citizens for a result that will have this project in a 3 to 4 year project. The main reason I'd like the event center built in Sioux Falls is the addition of more activities in our community. Many of our residents, you know, drive out of town. Many musical acts skip over Sioux Falls because there simply isn't a venue big enough for the size of the crowd. Our current sports teams would have better stadium, allowing for improved sight lines for the fans and larger crowds. Every time our residents leave, they take money away from our local businesses, and the event center is a perfect way to keep Sioux Falls money local. And I believe that furthermore, all people from all over the country would relocate to Sioux Falls because of the job availability. I'd love them to stay in Sioux Falls, not just for the job, but for the thriving entertainment scene. By building the event center, we have the opportunity to improve our quality of life for our current residents as well as future residents who choose to move to our city. I hope you'll seriously consider the benefits of an event center in Sioux Falls. I know it's a big project, but in the long run, our citizens will have access to culture and events they might otherwise only experience in other cities. Bring our residents back, including my daughter, which I think I've talked her into coming back here, and I hope she comes back here and she'll stay this time. She's been living in Portland for 3 years, so to get her back here was not that easy. And then just, you know, if we don't build it now, when are we going to build it? It's time. We should have what other cities around us have, so thank you.
Thanks, Gene. Further proponents?
Good evening. Unfortunately, you heard a lot of what I have to say, but I wrote it, so you got to listen. I went through all the work. You're being tortured. Sorry. I'm so proud to be part of the task force with these people. It's been a real pleasure to meet them all, and they've all been very welcoming, even when they would like to duct tape my mouth shut. I always wondered what these task force committees did, and I've learned more than I can summarize. I originally applied to give the handicapped community a voice. I didn't think I'd be chosen because I'm not a known person in the community. I don't have business clout or well-known name or a high-powered job. I'm a person who lives on a lower middle fixed income, who does clerical part-time work because that's all her health tolerates. I would like to thank the mayor for the opportunity to be part of this process. It's been an honor to be selected and a pleasure to work on the project. Everyone should join a committee or a task force for a cause they believe in, and I do believe in this project. I believed we needed a new event center way back when the 0405 group did it. Unfortunately, that plan never even got to the people to vote. I hope that does not happen to this proposal. It would be a real shame if it did. That is why we hope to get your approval tonight. Realizing that Peter is always an uphill climb, I hope we can get the legislators to embrace the Municipal League's proposition, and then I hope that people of this community will embrace our proposal and plan too. But it starts with your vote. Much has already risen about the proposed 1-cent sales tax. The main objection seems to be having it on food. I hope the public will listen and not automatically close their ears. Living on a fixed income, I too am not crazy about more taxes. However, as a member of this committee who was involved in the process of trying to figure out the financing for this project, I know it is the best option. If we put all the other alternative financing possibilities together, we still couldn't even make a dent in the cost of this project. Getting this project paid in 3 to 5 years instead of 15 to 30 years only makes sense. By extending it, all we would do is pay excess interest and have an older building by the time we got it paid for. I'm hoping our offer of a rebate for the lower income people on all purchases can solve some of the unrest in the community. If people realized what a small amount it really is, maybe it would be less, maybe they would object less. If you spend $100 to $125 a week on groceries, the additional tax is $1 to $1.25. I don't know about anybody else, but I waste more than that in the vending machine at work each week. I've also heard that I probably won't even use the facility or go to anything there. We all pay taxes that don't benefit us. I didn't have kids, but my property taxes paid to educate your children, your grandchildren, and the community's children. I guess I didn't have a choice in that. For me, I guess, frankly, I think it's worth my $4 to $5 a month to have this project. I probably won't be able to afford to go to a lot of events after it's built either, but I still believe the project is worth it. I will try to go to as many sporting events as I can, but frankly, I'm more worried about what handicapped equipment I have to replace or buy than what next concert I'm going to. I still think it is worth the community's future and the community's impact, and it will bring your children and grandchildren much pleasure in the future, and I believe that that should be built for their future. I appreciate your time, and thank you.
Thank you, Charlene. Appreciate it. Further proponents?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Terry Bloom. I was co-chair of the task force. Charlene, on behalf of the task force, thank you for being part of this. You're a special treat. He's been given us a special insight throughout this entire process. I had written a speech, closing comments. This a little bit reminds me like you asked us the time when we told you how to build a watch. But hopefully, those last 20 people that talked to you answered questions that you had from all different walks of business and citizens that we had here. And that was really the purpose of that, to let you see that. When we started this, we spent the first 6 months as a task force meeting around the community, mainly in schools,
community centers, going out and listening. A lot of you were there. We spent 6 months listening. Then we spent 6 months having the data from the 3 task forces before us, learning. We didn't have any preconceived ideas. Our only job was to serve the community. That's really what we were trying to do. So we spent the next 6 months learning, and then after that, we had to make some hard decisions. So after that, we had to come up with some proposals to bring something to you as the body that would act upon this. That was our goal. Now, we never said throughout any of this that we were perfect in any of it. We never said that we had a perfect solution. But we also thought we had a solution that meets as many people as we can, compromises where need be to meet the needs of all the community, to get people to support this, and yet not compromise the overall project of what it needs to be done. We said the project has to be done, and it has to be able to stand the test of 50 years, like our event center arena has now stood the test of 50 years. So that was our goal. So where do we go from here? We ask for your support tonight. We would like to have as much of your support as we can. I'm not so sure if I checked the agenda if that was under the consent calendar and we got a unanimous vote. I don't think we did, but that would have been nice. But that's okay. So we ask for your support. Then our next mission, if we get your support in overwhelming numbers, is to ask the legislators if they will give us, Brandon, and all the rest of the community a chance to have enabling legislation, to let it take in front of the citizens what our project is, explain what it's about, how it's to be paid, how much it costs, and how long it lasts. That would be what the mission would be about. Our task force, with your guidance, if that's what you want, and your approval, then would take the next year to get out and meet with the community, and meet with as many in the community as we can, and many organizations and many individuals. We've already had invitations to come to businesses and talk to the businesses. The businesses will set aside different times so their employees can come and learn about the project. It'll also give us some time to learn, to listen some more, and then, and make modifications that we can within the program. That's really what we're looking to do. As Jim said earlier, I couldn't be more proud of the 18 people that worked with us in the last 18 to 20 months. Those people that took their time out tonight from a nice cold night to come and just talk to you about their needs, I thank them. I thank them for the professionalism and the time in which they presented themselves. So with that, we just ask for your endorsement. I know that you were good enough last week to give an endorsement to say that enabling legislation is one of your #1 priorities for your legislative agenda. That was very helpful, and we thank you for that. So I think, unless there's any more proponents, we would just ask for your support, and we'll be happy to be respectful and listen to people that have different points of view. Thank you.
Thanks, Terry. Other proponents? If not, are there questions of the council on any of the proponents? Do you have any questions you want to ask? If not, we'll move into the... Go ahead.
Yes. I'm not sure who I should ask the question, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
But my question is, in regard to a widow that I talked to on the east side of Sioux Falls, she's living in a very modest home. She's concerned about her rising property taxes, and now she's concerned about paying an extra penny on sales here in Sioux Falls. She's paying an investment. She's paying by way of taxes, by raising the sales tax. But what kind of dividends will she receive? What kind of benefits will she receive from this?
If any other members want to help her with the question, I think the question we'd ask, it came up as I think it was our second listening session, because we were talking about the needs, and then we were also talking about financing. And there was an elderly couple that were talking about income, purchasing food, the quality of their life, and what they expended. And they said they were all in favor for it, but they didn't think their generation should pay for that. And this was just a listening session. We were just listening, taking notes. And more questions came on, and probably 10, 15 minutes passed on that, Jim, in that discussion. And on the other side of the room, a person of that same age group raised their hand and said, but for our generation, what would have happened if everybody would have looked at it like that 50 years ago, if that's the way they would have looked at it? Then we would have not had that opportunity to use that facility for the last 50 years, which now somebody is asking us to. So that was a question, Kermit, that came to me as I just listened to those two different groups, and everybody was respectful. They just listened to the opinion, and then we went on to the next question. So I think as we look at quality of life and livelihood of things to do, I think it behooves the city, the promoters, the stewards that run a facility like that, to make sure that that property is meeting the needs of the community. You know, that does not just mean a Bon Jovi concert by any stretch of the imagination. You know, that should mean a farm and home show. That should mean a local event. There should be a multitude of events that should be hosted there that meets the broad needs of a lot of people. Now, will some use it more than others? Probably. You know, probably. But to say that nobody would get a use and a dividend of that, I don't think so. The other thing I think is a rising tide lifts all boats. I'm a big believer in that. A growing pie, a growing revenue is a benefit to everybody in the community. The more people we get, you know, if you're kind of lazy like I am, many hands make light loads. I'm a big believer of that. And so the more people we have kind of helping contribute to the economy and that we're retaining here is the overall betterment. So that's as good as answers I could give you, Kermit.
Sure.
Thank you.
But it was as I stated before, I owned my house for 19 years. I paid everybody else's kids to go to school. I didn't have kids, so everybody paid something. Like I said when I was speaking, I paid house taxes and owner taxes first.
So. Yeah. Further questions? Go ahead.
Then I just have one other quick question here about the refund of the 1 cent sales tax to income qualified residents. At this time, do we have a good idea of what kind of income that is?
Of the what?
I'll try to answer that. We haven't the exact number. We've asked a number of people to help us try to figure out what that number is so that someone like you were talking about would be helped if they fit within that income structure and get the entire penny back so that they're not being harmed. I think the idea is not to harm anybody, but to move the city ahead and get an event center at the same time paying back that income. And I think it's something that we need input in.
Yeah.
Don't want to just demand that this number or that number.
Is there any talk been about maybe like 15,000 or 20,000, any numbers thrown around to give some kind of insight as to what we're voting on here, you know, for income qualified residents?
I think that's something that we have to determine, maybe food stamps or something beyond food stamps. We had any number of discussions about that, but we need to move forward in those discussions with people who would understand it and know it, and get their input just like we did for the event center.
Further questions? If not, then we'll move to the opponents at this time. So, opponents?
Good evening. My name is Cheryl Rath. For the past 6 years, I have followed the community's discussion of a new event center. In 2005, I attended the unveiling of plans for both an event center and a rec center that was presented by the mayor's first task force. I watched as the rec center vote went down to a resounding defeat, and plans for an event center were shelved. In 2007, I followed the progress of the Coliseum Group. For 13 months, from October 2008 to November 2009, I attended all of the current task force meetings. Our present arena is almost 50 years old. Our city has grown. I do not oppose an event center, but after attending all task force meetings for 13 months, I do oppose this plan. The three key issues that I saw the group struggle with are location, tenants, and funding. Tonight, I would like to talk about what is not being said about these major issues. For the entire 13 months that I attended these meetings, the discussion was always based around Howard Wood being relocated, with the exception of a brief look at a parking ramp as an option. What is not being said is that the school district land is not only needed for parking, but it is also needed for a second on-site hotel. The proposal puts forth flat floor space. Convention business will be the major tenant. What is not being said is that we do not have enough on-site lodging or an airport that can support what is being proposed. John Katz, principal of CSL, suggested in his final pro forma that our city must have a commitment from a developer for a second on-site hotel before this project can go forward. The task force has changed this wording in the resolution that they will present to you this evening to read, "We encourage a second on-site hotel." In addition, we do not have airline connections, the airline connections that are needed to attract this kind of convention business. Finally, we do not have the commercial development surrounding this location that would make it attractive to convention planners. The task force will tell you that the reason the triple B tax is not being looked at is because it does not generate enough revenue. What is not being said is that the triple B does not fit the strategy that the South Dakota Municipal League will use to sell the idea of local control to the state legislature. Excuse me. What is being proposed is a 1-cent sales tax increase for 3 to 5 years. Why the rush? The task force will tell you that it is to save money on interest. What is not being said is that the city hopes to also build an endowment fund from the sales tax increase. This endowment would be used to help cover the operating shortfalls. The task force visited the Tyson Center, the Quest Center, and the Wells Fargo facility. Tyson, Quest, Wells Fargo. Never once in the 13 months that I attended these meetings was corporate sponsorship even mentioned. $137 million to $169 million. Rarely is it mentioned that these are not cost estimates. They are conceptual estimates or rough estimates. Howard Wood, parking, a second on-site hotel, an inadequate airport, a national downturn in convention business, a sales tax increase, operating shortfalls. If you believe that this plan is what your constituents can support, then you do not have your hands on the pulse of this city. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Other opponents?
Hi, I'm Andreen Strippers. She's kind of a hard act to follow. I also am opposed to the sales tax. I'm not opposed to having an event center, but tonight I've only heard things that will help the business community and entertain those who have the money and want to attend events at the event center. Since the event center would only seat about 12,000 people, and what I'm hearing tells me you're expecting many of these to be from out of town, this would include only a small percentage of Sioux Falls residents. In other states, they use the triple B tax. I used to travel for work, and I lived in Texas and Maryland and traveled to different states, and the triple B tax was very high, much higher than we have here. I would think that we could raise quite a bit with that. I don't know figures or anything. But I find it hard to believe that another sales tax increase is being considered during these tough economic times. If people want an event center, I feel that it should be paid for by a triple B tax and or an activities fee. The current food tax rebate program isn't working very well, and I'd like to hear how a city refund program would work and what paperwork would be required. Thank you.
Thank you. Further opponents?
Scott Arisman, Sioux Falls. I actually do support a new event center also. I think a lot of the opponents, as they're being labeled tonight, I guess we're labeled in two groups here tonight. A lot of the opponents are actually not opposed to event center. I rarely talk to some people that are opposed to an event center. But when you start talking about funding, that's when it gets pretty worked up. I think it's past due. This place should have been built 5 years ago. I agree that there's a huge economic impact if we build it and build it right. But we keep chasing our tail with this event center. The first problem I have with this is that we put the cart in front of the horse. We put the plans out there to build this huge facility, and we have no way of paying for it. We should have approved the funding with the voters first, and then took what we were going to have from that money, and then came up with a plan of what we're going to build. I don't believe it's going to pass the legislature, and I surely don't believe it's going to pass with voters. All we have to do is look back a couple of years with tax increases. The rec center failed, and that was a simple 0.02% tax increase, and that failed. I don't see people approving a 1 cent tax increase to build this facility. It's flawed for a lot of reasons. A lot of people talk about the economy. If the economy was even in really good shape, it's not right. What we're asking to do is we're taxing the majority, a lot of people that'll never attend the place, never afford to use it. A BBB tax makes the most sense. Omaha uses it. It's fair. Why is it fair? Because the people who are paying the tax are the ones using the facility. The businesses that are benefiting from the event center are helping to pay that tax. there's a lot more things you can do besides a bed and booze tax. There's all kinds of ideas. You can do a corporate entertainment tax. Some cities do that, which makes a lot of sense because corporations are always whining that we need more entertainment in Sioux Falls. Well, put your money on the table. Pay for it. We can also tax advertising. I've never understood why we've never taxed advertising in this state. There's tons and tons of different kinds of ways we can come up with money besides taxing, retail tax increase. And the other thing people bring up a lot too is food. Well, last I checked, when I pay retail taxes, I pay retail taxes on everything I purchase besides food. And most middle-income people or middle-class people spend a majority of their paycheck on goods and services and products. That means you are basically taxing not just food but other necessities and things to build an entertainment facility. And the state is telling us that they don't have enough money to increase education funding in this state, and we're going to ask the voters of Sioux Falls to pay an additional 1-cent tax to build an entertainment facility. I just can't. It's not going to pass the voters. I mean, I don't know what the legislature is going to do, but I think that the funding source is so incredibly flawed. I can't believe that the task force spent 13 months planning this facility, and this is what they came up with. Like I said, the event center is 5 years past due, in my opinion. But we really need to look at this funding source, and we really need to change it before it goes to the voters in November, or it's not going to fly, and we're going to be back to square one, where we have been several times before.
Thank you. Further proponents?
Sorry for the delay. Is this working? Is this working? No. Sorry for the delay. I'm Kathy Brachtolsbauer, and we haven't had a chance to present some of the things that I think are very important to the council, and so I appreciate your indulging us. I guess we do have time considering the time for the other side. So I have a very condensed version of a presentation to illustrate how important it is to consider the fact that raising the sales tax has to do with hunger in our community, and especially hunger of our vulnerable populations. Is this showing up on your screens? Mm-hmm. Okay. How about that? I never tried this before with council. So. Oh, okay, except it's hard to read up there. This is a presentation from Child Watch, an organization that studies issues such as children's hunger, and presented this sort of information in various academic journals. And they had a presentation last Tuesday, and this is just a very short excerpted piece of it, okay? So I added a slide at the beginning and the end, because first I want to say how this issue of the tax has to do with hunger. As Matt Gasson, the leader of our state's food bank, has said about the food tax, no other tax so directly takes food off of tables. And we're talking about an issue that has to do with hunger. There are many causes of hunger, but in South Dakota, the tax on groceries is one of them. We know that there's a lot of charity, a lot of goodwill, a lot of good actions in our community, and we know that it helps a lot of people, but everyone who knows about charity knows that it never reaches everyone that's in need. Also, most citizens prefer self-reliance over dependence on charity. And the other basic fact before I talk about the implications of child hunger is to know that refund programs are ineffective, missing many people in need. And the state's refund program on food tax is certainly an example, reaching less than 1% of the low-income population of our state, and not even to mention the middle-income people who are struggling also. I think this is one of the most important things to remember about the impact on children, is that economic conditions and public policies are written on the bodies and brains of babies. We're going to talk about food insecurity here. That's the new term for hunger, and the official definition is right here for you: limited availability of nutritionally adequate foods in the household, or uncertain ability to acquire them in socially acceptable ways. One of the issues lately that's had a lot of attention is obesity. So notice this second point here about the causes of obesity that have to do with low income, and there's this need to maximize the calories per dollar. And so you can see what happens if you're looking to meet the calorie needs of your family. What often happens is it's not necessarily the most nutritious food. So families need the funds to provide the nutritious food that they need for children's growth, for diabetes, heart conditions, other people who have particular nutritional needs. And what has happened over recent years, you'll see the black line is the consumer price index, and the line above it, the blue one, is the cost of fresh fruits and vegetables has gone up considerably, and I'm sure around the room people are nodding their heads if they've done any grocery shopping in recent years, and that's a considerable health issue, especially compared to the lines below the consumer price index, which are sugar and sweets and carbonated drinks, which have dropped, especially in comparison to what it costs to provide the more nutritious foods. The World Health Organization leader says this, and it has to do with the world, and it also hits us right here in our community. The cheap foods that make adults fat starve children of absolutely essential nutrients. Children who do not receive the protein and other nutrients during early development are damaged for the rest of their lives. We're talking about pregnancy here. We're talking about young children, but especially in those critical formative times. And when you have a baby that's preterm, it's got problems from low birth weight, you have an extremely difficult situation for the child itself, is extremely vulnerable, and also very costly to society. It's very extremely costly. And also here's another example of spina bifida from a folate deficiency, another extremely costly event for that child, for that child's family, for the community. Inadequate prenatal nutrition follows you throughout your adult life. It can cause problems later. But here's a picture to remind us that even all through your life, sometimes the events of undernutrition or malnutrition early in life can follow you much later throughout your life, including mental health issues. And we know mental health is a huge issue in our city, with costs for individuals, families, and society. But from the beginning, food insecurity is a child health issue. There are issues of malnutrition that have to do with infections and the immune system that are cyclically related both ways. And so what we have as a result is that for the children with food insecurity, children in food insecure households, you'll see on the left graph that they have significantly more hospitalizations, and on the right side, significantly more of the children are in poor health. Also, this carries over into learning. It's an early learning issue. The very sensitive periods of brain growth, when there's malnutrition at those times, it is extremely serious because the damage is likely to be permanent and irreversible. For example, here's a child with that kind of malnutrition. This child is much older than he looks in the picture. Some of the ways that it's manifest are language development problems, memory problems, being able to coordinate what you're seeing and what you're hearing, the ability to give attention and to regulate your behavior and your interaction with other people is extremely important, and your motor skills. All these are things that can be very definitely affected by the nutrition of the child, with the result that young children from food insecure households are 40% more likely to be at developmental risk. So food insecurity is an issue at school, with both readiness, achievement, as well as behavior. We have emotional disorders, learning disabilities in the classroom are related to undernutrition or malnutrition of children. We have children fighting more. Aggression leads to other costly problems for children and society, with extreme kind of results in adolescence, where various mental health issues and others come together in the very worst possible situation of suicide. And we've also noted a headline in the paper over the past year about the downturn in the economy being related to suicides. So food insecurity is a lifelong issue. We know that hunger hurts, but we know it also harms development, and it can haunt an entire life and the community where it exists. So I just want to impress on you the seriousness of this issue. We've talked tonight about infrastructure, and I really believe that infrastructure has exactly the definition that the person gave about meeting the needs of community. And I think one of the most critical needs of the community is to make sure that our children are well nourished, to get the best start, that children thrive, that families are able to meet their needs. And the least the city can do is not raise the cost of living, making the matters worse. And this is probably the most important type of investment we can make in the community, is to make sure that our children have what they need from the very beginning, and let's not put a roadblock in their way with higher sales tax. That's a 17% increase in the total sales tax on food and some other necessities also that we haven't even talked about. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathy. Other proponents?
I have to pass around this. I'll pass this visual aid down.
Further opponents?
My name is Dan Lee. I represent residents of Pettigrew Heights, a low-income neighborhood here in Sioux Falls. Is this microphone not on? Stand closer. Okay, gotcha. Some of the things I've heard tonight, people have said many businessmen are interested in this proposal, saying that it's good for the businesses of Sioux Falls. And those businessmen have also said that it's good for low-income folks of Sioux Falls because it provides jobs. I have friends in my neighborhood who work at the current convention center. Most of them do not have full-time jobs at the convention center. They work whenever there is conventions going on, whenever there's stuff going on, and the rest of the time they're out of work. These are not full-time jobs that we are giving people. They're part-time, temporary jobs. Also, the same thing would hold true in the hotel industry. You don't think they would hire more full-time laborers to work in hotels just because we have a convention center. They would hire people maybe for a temporary basis when there's a convention, which, as someone said, as Fargo has 7 to 8 times per year, their hotel is full because of conventions. Well, great, 7 to 8 times per year, you're going to hire a few more people for a few more hours in those days. Well, that's not going to do very much for the people of my neighborhood, for low-income families. And in the meantime, we are taking sales tax out that really isn't going to get returned. Because let's face it, the people in my neighborhood don't trust you. They don't trust the government around them. and typically you ask them to go to somebody in government and ask for a refund from their money, they're not going to go to you. There are some people who are going to get benefit from that. They are typically not the ones who are hurt the most by it. So you say, oh, this isn't really going to hurt people in my neighborhood. I tell you, it is going to hurt people in my neighborhood, and it's going to benefit those who are in business. It is not going to benefit those like me and those like the people who live around me. Now, the other question that was asked was that this event center is proposed to bring people into Sioux Falls and help hold our kids here longer because there's more events. I moved to Sioux Falls 6 years ago. I did not move here because there are big event centers here. I did not move to this city because I wanted more entertainment and more stuff to do. I moved here because this is not California. I moved here because I grew up in a place where there is tons of things to do, and it's all wasted. It does no good to anyone if you can do all these things if your neighbors are unfriendly and you don't get to know them. I moved to Sioux Falls because we have a small town feel where people actually do get out and get to know their neighbors, and that we have a camaraderie in this city that is unparalleled to anywhere else I've been in the entire country. And I've been quite a few places. And I love this city, not because of how many events we have at the convention center, but because of things that we have in the parks. And so I appreciate the event center and the ideas behind it. I just don't see it's going to be a whole lot of benefit to me. So I ask you, don't raise taxes and hurt people that are, already hurting to give something that we don't really need. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Further opponents?
Mr. Mayor, Councilman, Council Lady, my name is Bob Sievertson. I've lived in Sioux Falls all my life. I kind of like the idea, a progressive idea, of a event center. But it's been spoken of before. The proposal is fatally fault in the way it's financed. We have a regressive tax system in the state, and we're just adding more regressive. The tax people, when they say when they talk about a sales tax, they say, "Well, this is a tax that's easy to administer. We just ask the merchants to collect the tax and send it to the government." But I'm telling you, if you complicate that tax by overtaxing people and returning it to the people, it seems to me they say that the devil's in the details of these taxes. Well, I think there's a devil when there's no details. How are you going to 10,000 people are going to get that money, but how are you going to do that administratively? It seems to me that it's possible that the administration costs of the tax will exceed the benefits given back to the. But I like Kermit would just like a little more detail. The other part of the proposal that seems to me that it isn't going to sail, it isn't going to work. If you go to the legislature and tell those people in Turner and Woodard County that come and shop in Sioux Falls, and I'm going to pay for your event center, they're not going to, so they'll have to, lots of luck with that proposal. I don't know how it's going to, but the greater hurdle has been spoken before, is the vote of the people. Now there are people in this town that aren't very progressive. They like the town as it is, or some of the mostly senior citizens liked it better 30 years ago. And those people are not very vocal, but they vote. And it isn't going to pass. It isn't going to pass the people. So I have a proposal, and I offer it pro bono. We do it the old-fashioned way. Build this event center. Go to the people, but before you go to the people, solicit private money. $50 million of economic development per year. So before you go to the people, get pledges from those people and other business people and people that drive to Sioux City and Omaha and Fargo. Make a pledge. And people that would use the facilities, make a pledge. And then, with these pledges in hand, I'm talking big money, $20, $30 million. Go to the people and say, in the old-fashioned way, get a bond issue and get this done. I have another little thought that I don't think I've quite used my 5 minutes. But see, the name of the event center is not very imaginative. We should get something a little more sexy, that sells a little bit better than that. I think maybe not just name the event center, but the whole deal out there. Coin a word, that describes the sporting events and the concerts and whatever it does, and sell it to the people. That's a little aside from the point, I guess. But what I would urge you to do is short circuit this deal right now. It's not going anyplace. It isn't going to sail. So stop it right now and go back to the drawing board and get something well. And I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Bob. Other opponents? Further opponents?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. My name is Susan Clift, and I thank you for this opportunity to explain why I believe Sioux Falls has other priorities that will benefit our community more than the event center, but will particularly make an impact if it's done the way that it's being proposed with the sales tax. I'm currently the president of NAMI, and what I'm finding is that a lot of people in Sioux Falls don't know what that is. It is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. I also am a certified facilitator and facilitate 2 weekly meetings that is called a Connection, NAMI Connection Recovery Support Group. And what I am finding since I have been involved with NAMI, I've been a business person in Sioux Falls for basically 29 years of the 30 years that I've lived here. And until I got involved with NAMI, I was very ignorant as to what was on the other side of that business perspective. And what I'm finding is that there's a lot of people in this city that don't have a place to live, food to eat, and it comes down to a matter of priorities. If Sioux Falls wants to be progressive, then possibly what we should start doing is looking at how we can take care of all of our citizens in a better way. Recently, about a month ago, I attended, along with a number of other nonprofit organizations and churches, and I believe there was at least one council member at that seminar, but it was called Creating a Caring Community. And I haven't heard a whole lot of people here that are opposed to an event center. I have heard a lot of objection to the way that it's being proposed to be paid for. What it amounts to is that the people that can least afford to have the sales tax raised are the people who it would affect the most. In the present economic situation that we're in, there are more and more people that are having difficulty just staying in their homes and feeding their families. One of the things that I found as I went out and started discussing NAMI and what we were trying to do to raise awareness of mental illness is the charity and the willingness of people to listen if you ask. And what I'm asking that this council consider is that we take care of all of our citizens, not to just look at the business aspect of it, but also to look at the aspect of where are our priorities? Do we want to be a progressive city because we're building fine structures, or do we want to be a progressive city because we are taking care of our citizens and working to fill in those gaps where there are gaps? And I don't think that it's something that government should have to do alone. I believe that nonprofit organizations, churches, and government can work together. And if in 1 or 2 years that we can come together and work on these things, then you're going to have more people in that tax base that are paying taxes and having more free money to spend, and a healthier city that is progressively showing that they are concerned about their citizens, all of their citizens. And in 2 or 3 years, the economic situation may be that people are more willing to look at doing things that are progressive for the business side. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Susan. Other opponents?
My name's Tim Stank. I know you guys all know me. One thing I've learned about coming to the city council meetings, and I'm hoping that I'm wrong today, is that pretty much you guys have your mind made up before we sit down and do anything. I talk to a lot of people every day. This build it and they'll come theory, a lot of people don't believe that. We did the pavilion, and look at how much it's costing the taxpayers every year. I think we put, and I'm not sure, I'm going to say probably $2.4 million this year, and that's not counting how much they're losing right now. That's going to be another $200,000-$300,000 at the city, or somebody's going to have to flip the bill. People look at this. We have the zoo that does not make money. We have Great Bear that loses money. We have, what else is the city in?
Boy, there's so many things that the city's in, you just can't believe. The only thing that's making money right now is probably the arena. Because of one reason, it does stay full. But every time I go to the arena, are the seats full? No. You're lucky if you have 5,000 people, maybe 4,000 people show up for an event. Why? Because the events are too expensive. Am I against the event center? No, I'm not against the event center. I hate to say it. I've told everybody I am. But I don't believe on how you guys are going to fund this. The only ones that I've heard that it says it's going to benefit are the people that are going to have the motels, that are going to be able to build right next to it. And I look at it as, we got to look at it a different way. We got to look at a bed and booze tax. You know, Obama, he comes out and says that, what is it, $250,000 for middle class? Where do we put the citizens of Sioux Falls? Where do we look at that penny sales tax? You know, do we go to the 10,000, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50? Where do you stop it at? You know, what is the middle class nowadays? Or the poor? I watch my kids. They're trying to survive too. I'm helping my oldest one go through a lot of things. I'm helping her. She's working 2 jobs, going to school full time. I'm helping her out as much as I can. But why should she have to have 2 jobs when she should be able to have 1? We look at an outdated system that we have at the arena. Why don't we look at our wages? How outdated are our wages in South Dakota? We sell our people down. We're going to go to work in a motel for what, maybe $7, $8 an hour? Or go down and work at the arena for $7 or $8 an hour? That isn't enough to have a family live on. We have more people that have 2 jobs in South Dakota, not only, I mean in Sioux Falls, versus 1 job to be able to support their family. And why is it that our children are growing up and getting in trouble? We can't control our children because you can't keep one person at home because they can't support it when one person goes out and one stays at home. I look at maybe all these people that came up and said that we want the arena, let's get this penny sales tax. Why don't we sell shares? All these people that stood up, why don't you sell them shares? You know, I go out of town a lot with my daughter's cheerleading. We go to the Quest Center. We go all over. Everyone's got a name to it. You know, some of these people are looking at that. A lot of your taxpayers in this town are looking at what this city what you guys have done in the past 2 to 3 years. They don't trust you. There is no trust out there. And with this penny sales tax that you're going to put on here, they don't trust you one bit. Because of one reason, that money is not going to go where it's supposed to, about like our video lottery money, where that was supposed to go towards the school system, but yet it probably didn't. Because their taxes keep going up and up and up. You know, pretty soon, people aren't going to be able to afford to live. The only thing I'm asking is, let's put this on for a different date. Let's try to look at it and really sit down and look at everything, the hard facts. How can we support, how can we bring this up without having the taxes go up, without people paying extra property tax, food tax? Because I get tired of people having to work 2 jobs and then they don't get in on any kind of a tax rebate because they're losing out because they have to support their family on 2 jobs. I'm hoping that every single one of you, I'm hoping that the people that are running for mayor, they better listen to this because this could be a make or break. And I'm going to say right now, this ain't going to pass the public. And you better think about it.
Thank you, Tim. Other opponents?
How y'all doing tonight? Think you're going to make it? It's been entertaining, to say the least. My name is Jesse Moore. I'm the pastor at the Ridgecrest Baptist Church and the Sunrise Baptist Church. I've been in Sioux Falls for 22 years. It's highly unlikely that most of you know who I am or anybody else in the room. I work behind the scenes and underground. I pastor a lot of addicts, alcoholics, a lot of poor people. However, like the gentleman just said, however you define poor these days. I was told recently that on my salary I probably would qualify for food stamps. I've not been down to check it out, but if the price of bread keeps going up, I think I might. I'm here, and I'm not going to berate you with all the stuff. You've heard it all already. I want your heart for just a few moments. I don't want you to rash it out. I don't want you to reason. We've heard wonderful reasons for this event center. Matter of fact, this committee, your group did a great job. I was getting excited, and you just about bought me when you told me you were going to bring the WWE here more often. Pastors have to have some kind of vicarious way to get rid of their frustrations. What I want to ask you to do is to deny it the way it's written now. Find another way to finance it. There's not a week goes by that I don't have someone come to me who needs food, or who needs help with rent, or who's looking for a job. I don't want to use this term. Let's just say the lower socioeconomic part of our city is in much deeper trouble than anybody imagines. And they are in trouble. And the food rebate tax is a wonderful idea. What agencies are going to administer it? Who's going to take the time to fill out the forms? Who's going to help the people walk through the form process? I know my churches will. If you pass it as it stands, and it does happen to pass the community in a vote, will you come to my churches and spend time with us and help us fill out the forms with the folks? That's the question I'd ask of you. You see, you've applied a utilitarian approach to fairness and to justice, and that is the idea that the greatest amount of good for the greatest number of people. And it's wonderful in most places, but you need to apply a Kantian categorical imperative, which says there are certain things we must do in life. And to care for the poor is one of those things we must do. It is not optional. Every great religious system speaks to the needs of the poor. In my Bible alone, and I'm really at a disadvantage because the language of politics is not my language. The language of the prophets is my language. But in my Bible, there are 2,300 verses alone to speak of poverty and justice and the Christian God's response to those things. Every great religious system speaks of our need to care for the poor. I'm asking you tonight not to defeat your event center. It sounds marvelous. Even the bull riding sounded pretty good. I'm asking you to reconsider how you finance it. I'm asking you to take the words of the prophet Micah, who said, "What does God desire of you, O man, except that you walk humbly before your God, and you do justice, and you do mercy, and to find a way that did not tax the poor in a disproportionate manner would certainly be acts of justice and mercy." And I would give you this quote. Father Philip Berrigan said, "The prophets tell us who we could be. The poor show us who we are. So we shoot the prophets and we hide the poor." I'm not sure the poor are being hidden, but I think they may well be overwhelmed with what's proposed here tonight. Thank you for the opportunity to do this. And now I'm going to go back into my world, which is kind of underground and out of sight. Thank you.
Thanks, Jesse. Further opponents?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor Munson and members of the City Council and the City Clerks and the City Attorney. You've put in a long evening and you've heard lots of the same old, same old. My name is Tam Baker. I live at 1713 South Williams. Following up on Reverend Moore, when he talked about this form for the refund, I've read lots of government forms. I've spoken with Jody and I've spoken with Mike Cooper. They're working on forms that will be easily read and easily understood. Wonderful. I'm so happy. Do any of you have chaos in your lives? think about the young woman who has 2 jobs, going to school full-time, trying to get to work, trying to support herself. Think about the mother who needs to feed her child. She doesn't have transportation. The closest source of food is a convenience store. You know the cost of things in convenience stores, and you saw the bottle of soda up there compared to the milk. Chaos causes people not to be able to fill out those forms. I've heard people say they're lazy. They won't fill them out. No, they have chaos in their lives. They don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. Many of them do not know where they will sleep. Many do not know how they will get to apply for a job. There's chaos. So please, when this form is written, and I'm looking forward to the new convention, event center. I'm looking forward to it. But we need to think of all the people that this increase in sales tax is going to affect. And I thank you for your time, and I know you all have chaos in your lives.
Thanks, Dan. Other opponents? Other opponents?
Hi, my name is Hillary Davis. I am a senior at the University of Sioux Falls. And I actually hadn't heard a lot about the Event Center until tonight. The only thing that I bring up, once again, is the funding. I'm not against the Event Center. I know the arena might be outdated. But the money that you're proposing, you know, how we raise the funding, that's money that I could put into my education. I work a part-time job. I work 25 hours a week. I do 17 credit hours. I want to be able to put that money into my education and make myself better. If it comes down to seeing an event versus my education, I pick that. I hope that you let other people decide how they use their funding too. Thanks.
Thank you. Other opponents? Opponents? See no one coming forward. Are there questions from the council of any of the opponents? Not? Seeing none, no other comments? Motion, go ahead.
I don't have a question for the opponents, but I would just like to share part of an email that we all received from someone who, Dana Dykehouse, who served on the task force, who was unable to be here tonight. And we've heard lots of good testimony on both sides. And again, these are obviously always difficult topics, but I just wanted to share part of his email since he's unable to be here. During our 2-year study, we found no community in the upper Midwest, Fargo, Omaha, Sioux City, Des Moines, that did not need some sort of temporary tax increase to finance a 50 to 75-year life public building. We also did not find a community that was similar to Sioux Falls that does not require some level of ongoing support of public facilities. And then secondly, I'd like to say that, one topic that comes to my mind often in this, deliberation is the fact that I think it's really important for all of us to remember that the more economic development that happens, not only in Sioux Falls, but throughout South Dakota, allows communities, I'm talking about like city councils throughout the state, to do even more for those people who are not as blessed as I am at this time. And I think sometimes we might miss that point, or at least I want to at least mention that. I also would like to just remind everyone who's listening to this discussion is that, again, the City Council is a very caring, incredibly empathetic group of people. And frankly, I actually do resent comments about we're not trusted. Well, I didn't get here without being elected, first of all. So I would like to just share that as a side point, that sometimes after you've been here for about 6 hours, you kind of resent those kinds of comments. But I'd also just, more importantly, like to remind people that this group of hardworking city councilors does not have the authority to raise the city sales tax, but almost all of us believe strongly in local control. And we believe that most communities in South Dakota know better than anyone else whether or not their community needs a new wastewater treatment center or an event center or a community center or a library or whatever. We believe that the citizens in those communities know best what those people need, and that they should have the opportunity to vote to tax themselves a tiny, tiny bit to get those facilities built. And that's all I have to say at this point.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the resolution?
I so move, Knutson.
Is there a second?
Second, Costello.
Costello, okay, further comments now. We got a motion made, second to approve.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Over the course of the opponents, I have written down a number of items that I think are some of their concerns. And I was just wondering, if Terry, would you be kind enough to just step to the podium and maybe just talk a little bit about them? Because I think there's a little bit of confusion on some of these, at least. And I don't purport to have an exclusive list. And Jim, if you'd like to join him.
Even if he doesn't want to, he's going to get
Yeah,
to. Okay?
there's about 7 or 8 items here that I just think maybe that I just jotted down during the course of the evening that I thought maybe if you could just expound on them and maybe help offer some clarity on both sides of the issue. And the first one is Howard Wood Field, and it's how it relates to the center.
Okay. Jim, jump in here anytime. Where we were at with Howard Wood is we've talked to the school district, and so that is the school district's decision, what happens with Howard Wood. Only part that our task force gets involved in is from parking. So that we're looking, if there's a way that the citizens, that we can get more dollars out of working together and get parking for less money, then that's where we get involved in that issue. And where they're getting involved in it, they're going to be expending a certain amount of money, quite a little large money in a phase 1. And a phase 2 that comes later down the road is also quite expensive. So they're looking, do they want to have that much money in an event where if there would be 2 events going on simultaneously that have big draws, where we can be competing for the same space. So that's really where the Howard Wood issue is. That's got to be worked through. That issue, the parking piece, is not resolved. It gives us about 1,400 parking spots. Another option that we have explored, probably the first option would be the 1,800 parking lot, garage, parking ramp. That is looked at also, but that's quite expensive. So those are options that will have to be worked out on Howard Wood.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but in essence that there are other options out there to provide the 1,400 spaces of parking that we need, and it's not a foregone conclusion that Howard Wood Field would be taken over for this project.
Not a foregone. If they can meet their needs and we can meet our needs, that's probably one of the easier ways of 1,400 parking spot, because the other one involves parks, or it involves transportation across highways or relocation of highways or things like that. But that's got to be worked on, yeah.
Then another item that it came up regarding a second hotel and the need for that and the space to provide for that.
Yeah, we're told by the convention people, the experts have been in here, that you need basically up towards 200,000 square foot of convention space with about 400 rooms attached to contiguous convention space. There's 260 or whatever it is in the Sheraton right now, so you need about another 150, 60, 70, something like that. We have been told, and I guess I'm not talking out of school, that there have been conversations about hotels with private people in the city. I'm not privy to who that is, because it's not, and I'm not trying to hide anything, I just don't know who it is. But I would assume that if this should go forward, that there are people in the business that would certainly look at an opportunity if the opportunity is there, and we like to think that it would be. So that's, yeah.
And that exists, again, with or without Howard Wood Field?
Well, right, absolutely. That's part of the deal if you're going to have the right convention thing.
But there is space. I'm just looking at the bottom of the drawings. If Howard Wood stays, there is space in there for the 400 rooms.
Okay. The other item, which we heard a lot about on the task force, the airport and the challenges that it presents.
Okay. We had the airport manager come in and talk to us early on. Now, we, as far as our airport terminal and the monies that were invested there, they're doing some very, very good things with security, baggage handling, all of those type of pieces. What they're working hard on is to get a low-fare hotel. That's really what they're after, a low-fare airline is what they're looking at. Now, we made some progress, they have. We have some, and they're continuing to work on some. That would help us from a convention standpoint. On the other side, Jim Inneman serves on the CVB board, could tell you that a high percentage of our CVB traffic will probably come from driving distance as their board studies what's the proximity that they look at. So again, no, airport is important to us, but it's not, I don't think, a deal breaker one way or the other.
And if I recall from my, what I remember about the conversation on airports too is that, we're lucky if we're going to be able to get maybe 1 or 2 national events attracted to Sioux Falls, and the bulk of the activity is really going to be in the regional, in the state business, and that is more by travel by car or even bus, I suppose. So clearly our airport is a handicap for us in attracting national conventions, but that's really a small percentage of what we're looking at attracting. The other item, which you hear a lot about, is the corporate sponsorship and private money. And what role does that play in our facility?
That does play a big role. I'm going to go by memory now. The naming rights in our projection includes $250,000 annually for naming rights. And suite sales and private city, it is also a bid part. I'm going to go by memory now. I think that was like $135,000, but don't hold me to that. There is a number for those are included in our projections, in our pro formas that you got in the CLS report. That it holds all those numbers. It breaks them right down in the category, so you can look at those. They're in, but those are included. They're in our operating statement.
And can you expand on that as far as the operating side of things versus the construction and cost?
What we looked at and made the determination after we talked with other communities is that there's two venues to the project that we're doing. One is what's the way in which you pay for the capital, pay for the building. And then the next one is how do you operate it on an annual basis after it's built. And we wanted to make sure and being completely fair with you and with the citizens so we could show a plan, at least our very, very best estimate of what a plan would be. We know when we get done, we'll know the building cost and we'll know what it costs to pay it back. So that will be clarified. What's always the question is what's the operation going to look like? And so we made it very clear up front. So that it wasn't something 3-5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. We said the income from the suites, the naming rights, and so forth need to pass through the operating piece of the budget so that we know exactly where that's at. If we do that and make what we think is a reasonable price with our tickets, our operating budget in the first year shows about $135,000 profit if we do that. But that's where that's at. It's in the operating statement. But it is there. They run across the country. They run about 85% public and 15% private support when you build these type of properties. That's across the entire nation.
And then ticket fees and parking fees, operational side as well.
Those are, and then what we did was we thought it's probably more palatable for this community. There's 2 ways to go. You could charge parking and charge parking out there and have the cost to administer parking. You could do that, or you could build it into your ticket prices as other people have done. So we have $1 included in each ticket price for parking, and that's what we've done.
Can you explain the triple B tax on why that doesn't work for this particular facility?
Be smarter on that.
That calculation, our triple B, to fund a project, to do what we're talking about, if you're doing a 20, 30-year bond and you used an interest rate, the number was cited to you earlier, and that is correct. It's about a 10 to 13 million annual fee if you're financing it over that source. Our triple B tax, by my estimates, let me double check with Bob, was about $5 million is about what we were generating, right around $5 million. So we looked at there was probably about 10 different things that we looked at. And when you get a project that comes along every 50 years, this was just not something that you could do without you setting your capital improvement plan for the next 5 and 10 years completely aside, or next 20 years aside, and doing this project. It's one of those that doesn't come every 5 years. It comes every 50 years. And so that's why the triple B tax just did not generate enough revenue, along with room tax, TIF district, car rentals. I could go down a whole list. We looked at all those.
It just doesn't add up to get us where we need to make a bond payment.
It does a lot of what your annual needs are, but a project, if a community wants a project like this that comes along that infrequent, that's just the cost of doing that project.
And the other thing that I would add on the triple B tax is that while that might, even if we had enough other sources to add up, it would still require a vote in the legislature to enact it. And we would be one of a few cities that would actually benefit from it.
It was talked about, there was a meeting of the municipal league, which we did go to just to help be part of the municipal league and listen. And so they went around, they had about 40 members there. They polled their member, and then the executive director went out, emailed, and polled their member. And they looked at a sales tax on all communities. They looked at the triple B tax, and then there were a couple of communities like Sturgis that looked at user tax, because they have a unique rally there where if they could have charged a user fee. They looked through all those. About 95% of those municipalities like the idea of the sales tax to meet their specific needs, so that they at least could talk to their community about it. So that's where that came from.
And no matter what tax route it goes, it needs the support of the legislature, and in order to get the support of the legislature, we need the support of the other communities across the state. And a triple B tax doesn't do anything for Webster or many of the communities.
That was the same vote from the legislature as the sales tax. They both involved legislature.
Part of the discussion was that this event center is only good for businesses, and that the jobs that jobs that the event center would create necessarily aren't maybe good jobs. Can you expand on how the job creation throughout the community is benefited by the project?
Well, obviously, when you get an event that comes in and people stay in the hotels, but I think more importantly, I think it was Steve Egger that made the comment, or one of the guys that understands construction. You're looking at with a $100 million project. What is it, 1,000, Steve? Roughly 1,000, or where is it? Whatever the figure was. Yeah, 1,000 jobs for two. Okay, on 150 million, you're talking about 1,000 jobs for 2.5 years. I think sometimes the thing that we overlook in all of this, and Mr. Cheddar, I think, summed it up. I got thinking about what would have happened to this city, how many people come to this town. I got a rancher friend of mine that loves to come here, and one of the reasons he started coming was because of health care. And we do so many things in the city of Sioux Falls that folks can come here, stay here, be treated right, and as they're staying here, they're doing things, and very quickly, and you guys are not quite as tired as I am, but you're getting close. But about 4 years ago, his name is Bobby Ackley. He's a limousine guy, ranches and farms out by Oneida. And they were in here for the farm show with their cattle. They stayed 4 nights, and they got in here in the morning. They stayed 4 nights, went home. Elaine kept track of every single thing. You can call them 258-2163. She's got the numbers. Every single thing they bought before they went home, they wrote down, and they left $2,300 in the city of Sioux Falls with gas and booze and food and motels, and she did some shopping. And I mean, the point being is it's really hard to measure what goes on in this city when you get when you get people that come and stay 2 and 3 and 4 nights, and like I say, Bob, if you get him on the phone, you can't get off. So, and there's that. I can do that all the time with people that come here for 3 days or 4 days and just stick around. So, yeah, Pat.
And I think the hospitality business right now, the CVB will tell you, it's about 11% of our workforce today, and it adds. I'm going to go by memory now. It's in the study. Seemed like 238 jobs or something like that sticks in my mind on a full-time basis.
And I think it's also, just to expand on it, that it creates young people in particular are looking for an environment and where they want to live. And then they'll worry about getting a job here. So it brings that younger generation back into the community, and that's the lifeblood that's going to drive us going forward. The only other thing I'd just like to briefly talk about was the funding, because I was proposed to me regarding why we don't use general obligation bonds. And I wish Director Rowenhorst was here. I don't think he is, but to my knowledge, I don't believe the city has ever sold a general obligation bond. And if we were to do that, in essence, to come up with enough revenue, and of course that would require a vote of the people as well, and it would require an opt-out on property taxes. But because of the interest calculation that comes into play, that essentially would require about a 25% increase in property taxes on the city portion of the property taxes. So, I mean, it is an option, but I'm not sure that that's an option that we really considered that was really a viable option.
And I don't know, you know, Gene could tell us how much debt service we have to meet our covenants, you know, how much more debt you could add to meet the covenants of the city. I don't know that. I mean,
Yeah, I think by and large that our ability to borrow money is very good. It's probably like a lot of people in the community with regards to a credit card. We can get the credit card, but we struggle with the payments. And if we were going to take, we're either looking at a 25% increase in property taxes, or we're going to completely decimate our capital program. If we want to take this out of the capital program, currently on our capital program, it's a $46 million program. $12 million of it currently is used for debt service. And if we're going to take another $12 million out to build this, we're going to have to figure out which park we don't want to build, which fire station we don't want to build, what library we're not going to staff or supply. They would drastically impact the quality of life issues that we have. Thank you for taking. I don't propose that that's the entire list of concerns. It was just the ones that I noted when some of the opponents were up, and I hope it offered some sort of clarity to the issue.
Jim, I had another question for you because you talked to me about this today. I've had questions about the cost of the building. Could you tell us again what the standard per seat cost is for these facilities and the research you guys did?
I think it's $8,000 to $9,000 per seat. Obviously, I think as Dave or Steve might have mentioned that with the current construction environment, hopefully it would be on the lower end of that, but it's typically the $8,000 to $9,000.
Thank you.
Rick?
I think what I heard tonight is the 800-pound gorilla in the room is funding. I think everybody agrees with the project and principle in general. They may not like where it's at or the color maybe, but I think everybody agrees we need it, and it's just about funding. And I guess I'm asking maybe Terry and Jim, you've been around to these other communities and seen how they've funded these similar projects, and you heard what these people were asking and talking about tonight. Did you hear anything new, any new ideas, any thoughts that maybe we could make a compromise or come together with a solution?
I'll look at Bob to help me a little bit, too. We'll just take some of those communities. Fargo Dome, we study very, very closely. Brad has got the numbers all memorized on that. That was a 15-year half-cent sales tax. They had their 15th year this last year. So they levied a half-cent sales tax, but they paid it for 15 years. So they collected the whole full time. They paid their bond. They've added to the property a little bit, and I think they've got about $20 million in a foundation that's used to upkeep and supporting it going forth. Omaha is a sales tax. I don't know how, I was told the number, but I can't exactly tell you how much Omaha was. Omaha was a sales tax. Des Moines is, the city is really not involved there. To make you feel better, you move that over to your cousins at the county. The county is involved in that, and the money came through, because the county is involved in a casino down there, so the money for that one flows through the county, and then from the county to the city to buy that. That's how they funded their CVB and their center down there, and then we've got some Iowa funds and a multitude of things down in Sioux City to fund theirs. So that's really what we learned in those cases. So it's you either had a unique funding source like a casino or some unique funding source to fund it, or it was some form of public-private partnerships and some taxes.
Got a motion been made and seconded to approve item number 7. Further comments? Go ahead.
I would like to begin by thanking the 18-member task force for all of their work on coming up with a proposal for a new event center. Also, I would like to thank all the people who have come here tonight to speak in favor of or in opposition to a new event center. And let me just mention offhand here, I think this is one of the best city council meetings I've ever been at for such thoughtful presentations on both sides. Very, very good evening. Last week, I did receive a letter from a member of the task force encouraging me to vote for the proposal. I replied as follows. Dear Mr. X, thank you for your letter concerning the proposed event center. I certainly agree that the task force that you are a member of has worked hard and spent much time in coming up with a very ambitious plan for a new event center. During the task force deliberations, I've only had two concerns: no increase in taxes and no annual subsidy for the facility. While these concerns have not been met, I am ever confident that we can have an event center without an increase in taxes and no subsidy. Sincerely, Kermit Staggers. 2 years ago, when the Coliseum proposal was discussed, I held the same views then as today: no increase in taxes and no subsidy. However, today we are looking at an increase in the sales tax to 7% and a combined events/convention center subsidy. Beyond my views on the event center, it should be noted that there are three serious questions about the proposal dealing with the event center. First, what is the status of Howard Wood Field? Second, will the state legislature allow Sioux Falls to raise the sales tax to 7%? And three, who is going to use the event center? Regarding Howard Wood Field, many people want to keep the present facility because of the past memories it evokes, and because it continues to serve its purpose very well. Talking about paying over $25 million for a new Howard Wood Field, as we are trying to cope with the recession, seems out of place. Concerning the legislature, allowing Sioux Falls to raise the sales tax to 7%, this seems dubious because of the state's own financial difficulties. Why would the legislature allow Sioux Falls to raise the sales tax when in the future the state might have to raise the sales tax in order to cover its own budget? For example, an additional penny for the city plus an additional penny for the state would mean an 8% sales tax in Sioux Falls. Moreover, taxes on citizens during a recession is particularly repugnant. Finally, the most difficult question: who is going to use the facility? A question that has plagued the task force from the very beginning. There is no commitment on the part of the three professional sports teams who use the arena to use the new event center. After all, they don't even fill the arena with fans. Presently, the only hope for the event center is to attract mega concerts. 2 or 3 a year, nobody knows. And to attract large conventions that might use the flat floor space of the event center. Let me emphasize, there is no permanent tenant for the new event center. Having raised these serious questions about the event center proposal, I hope that my colleagues on the City Council would seriously weigh these questions in their minds before they cast their vote tonight. Thank you very much.
Got a motion before us, made and seconded. Further comments? Not. All in favor of approving item number 7, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Councilors Knutson? Yes. Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
Anderson?
No.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 7 has been approved, 6 yes and 2 no. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I so move Knutson.
Is there a second?
Second, Brown.
Brown seconds. All in favor of adjournment, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilors Knutson? Yes. Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.